Okay, it's basically 10. So I'm going to um, take off my. My God. There we go. Hey. Also, I just need to make sure one more time that my volume is good. We're good. We're in there, you guys. Hey. How's it going? Let's see. Said, do I have I read Golden Terrace? If so, would I rate this one? You're gonna binge read it soon. I have, but haven't. I read all of volume one and then 60 pages of volume two. So here's perfect. Golden Terrace 2024 chart. It's so weird. I rated it an 8 out of 10. And apparently, I said that I absolutely love the story. I love the romance between the two main characters and how it blossomed so early on. And there was no angst in that regard. Also, Fushan is so adorable. I think he is officially in my top five favorites. But what I did not like is the lack of angst from the plot itself. While there's definitely something moving the story forward, it seems to be a bit lacking for me. And then when I got to volume, I don't see Golden Terrace. Did I not? Oh, you know what? I probably didn't leave a review for volume two because I read so few pages. So, hmm, I stopped reading Golden Terrace because it just, yes, my raptor kitty. I liked the plot and it seemed interesting, but I did not like the writing style of, I guess, I'm not sure if it's necessarily the original author or the translators because it just felt so dull to me. So, what I plan on doing is when Seven Seas, because I still have the original versions as well. It was the first book I started taking like actual notes on in a book, but I want to reread it. So we'll be doing that next year at some point when they release that because I think they're using a different translator. So I'm going to see how their translator works compared to the last one because I wanted to invest in the story, but I also think that it's possible it could have just been the wrong time because at that point, y'all, I was like crazy over MHA. I had just started listening, watching it, and I fell in love. So it's also possible it was just the wrong time, wrong season. Sometimes it's like that. So, yeah, first book apparently is an 8 out of 10. So we'll get to it at some point. I think the first book releases June. Yes, the first Golden Terrace book releases in June. The first Little Mushroom book releases in July. So we'll be slowly reading those together as well. Um, you said, good to know. Part of the reason I asked was because some fan translations are questionable. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's really hit or miss with those kinds of things, you know? Sometimes it's like I don't know. I've read some pretty interesting things before that literally translate each word rather than joining them together to mean something. And so it'll say like fish stringing palms went to the store when it's not supposed to be fish stringing palms. It's supposed to be whatever fish stringing palms is. I can't think right now. So like just the name. And so you said, seriously, quality of translation affects the novel reading experience so much. It does. And one thing that I mentioned when I was talking to one of the girls who like absolutely loves it is that I did like how the author seems to be very poetic in a sense in certain ways. And I just wish the translation captured the whole thing a lot better. So I'm going to give it another shot because how could I possibly put a character in my top five, and I can't even finish the story. Now that I'm looking at that, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So you said waves. Hey, NFS, nice to see you. Meow, meow. You said sometimes you can tell if it went through Google Translate. Exactly. It's like, okay. You know this was a name, right? Why are we calling it smelly fish bones? I'm like, that's not what it's supposed to be. Um, you said, until you try official subs for Justice in the Dark, you can't fathom awful. Oh, Lord. I don't think I want to. And was then just posted. You said they keep messing up the pronouns. Oh yeah, that is a thing too. Chinese can't be literally translated and keep the meaning. Yeah, some things you have to know the, I don't want to say nuance of the language, but yes, in some ways, yeah, you have to know the nuance of the language because it's very literal when you consider the meaning, but it's not very literal when you consider the name of something, you know? That's just not how it works. Like, for example, cell phone is 手机, which is hand machine, which the meaning that makes perfect sense. But if someone used Google Translate, then they would be like, I picked up my hand machine. It's like, no, that's no, that's not right. It's just cell phone. What are we doing? So, yes, he said because gender isn't defined. Context, yeah, yes. You miss the days of fan translations with little notes and stuff. It's interesting because when I got into Danmei, I wasn't all too familiar with fan translations until I think I read Arha, because everything that I read at the time was already, no, I take that back. No, because I read Thousand Autumn's fan translations, which I found a really good one, and then Arha fan translation, which I found a really good one on PDF files, and then you. I had to stop. I was like, what is this? You're gonna make me hate the story. So I put it down. Hi, Anne. It's so good to see you. I mean, technically, I can't see any of you guys, but I see your name, so I see you. Yes. It said, rickety voice on back in my day. Back in my day. There, he said, rebirth of the supreme celestial being made me cry. I've never heard of that. It's a super slow burn, but there's no good translation. Oh, that sucks. Boo. Pet owners is another one. Okay. You said you watch animes in 3 pixels. Here. Oh, are you correcting something you said in the comment? Another one here. Okay. But yeah, so let me put Killua down for a second so I can show you guys, since you were asking about Peach Blossom Debt. This is the official copy of that. So it's a really cute cover. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a whole little scandal that was going on about some C drama that stole from this book. And instead of it being BL, it was, straight. He said that toy is so cute. Thank you. It's my Mofu Sand. That's where it's from. Hold on. I'm trying to show you the little taggy tag. Hold on. Gotta get closer. Mofu sand, and they have like smaller ones, some like ceramic ones, and then I found this one at a store, and I've been having a hard time finding more of these this size at any store or online anywhere, because all the other ones are like smaller, and I'm like, no, I want some more, because there was another one that I wanted to get, but I ended up getting this one instead, and now I'm like, dang, I should have got them both, darn it. So Meowzilla. You hear that, Killua? Meowzilla. So, but yes, this is this one. So when I read the first 4 chapters, which let me also say is like only the first. Let me just go to the index, whatever. It is the first 50 pages. I was so underwhelmed. It was so boring. And I usually give books till 50 pages to impress me, not to have something like wild and chaotic, but just to give me a little something interesting to want me to keep going. And this book was about to kick the bucket because I reached the 50 pages threshold and didn't like anything about it. But I was like, I'm gonna give it one more chapter. Also, I need to stop streaming my share screen. I don't know why I'm still doing it. You said 10 pages. Oh my gosh, that's not enough. And so yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna just give it one more chapter. And they are lucky because chapter 5, I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Good. So just really quickly, if you want to hear like the summary, I'll read that. So for Peach Blossom Debt, there's a quote at the top: all predestined affinities are merely debts to be repaid. In his mortal life, Song Yao ate an elixir pill that dropped from the heavens by accident, and thus began his life as an immortal. After millennia of living in idleness, the Jade Emperor orders Song Yao back to the mortal plane. His task is seemingly simple: to oversee the love trial between two immortal lords. Only when he bids his old friend Hung Wen Qingjun farewell at the heavenly gates is he told of his true role on the mortal plane: to steal away the heart of one of the lords, Tianshu Xingjun. Falling from the skies with no way back, Song Yao can only wonder, who is really being put on trial here? So I thought the summary was interesting, and I was like, yeah, let me read this. Anyway, so yeah, this is 408 pages long. Like I said, I recommend that you eat it. I mean, did I say eat? Because I saw the comment. I recommend that you read it for yourself. Like I said, the first 4 chapters are a snooze fest. And then the last few chapters, I was like, what's happening? And then just one trope that I do not like at all is the whole transforming to kids thing. And that happened. And I was just like, I could have done without y'all turning into kids. Okay, whatever. So yeah, that's this one. As you can see, I've got plenty of little sticky notes inside of it. Anyway, where am I going to sit it? So there's that. Let's see. Yeah, I believe pet owners are called Chanshiguan, literally poop shoveling officer. What's translated to shit lovers? That is probably it. We're just scooping up a bunch of lasher, which, is what it is. You said death note, but immortality pill. Kids, don't eat random candy you find on the floor. I don't know. There's kind of a certain appeal to it, for kids. So, guys, I can I please get a super short summary? I didn't read the previous chapters. Okay, so we'll talk about it then. Just yeah. And you said, can I copy and paste from Google for you? Yes. What do you want to copy and paste? Sure. Kid shrinkage is common in Danmei. I know. I know. Like it even happens in SVSSS. And I think I was okay with it happening then because I know. I just love SVSSS. So maybe they get a pass. But I just don't like it. I'm like, can we not? I don't want to do this. Like, I just don't want to. So anyway, Udma, to give you just like a short summary, or I will wait to give you a short summary. Hi, love. What's going on? Nothing much. Just started the live session. Yeah, that's your MIDI, right? Yes. Okay. I'll try to be quiet. You're fine. Do what you do. So anyway, he said it was cute in SVSSS and it was short. Cute and short. So I was like, okay. But like even in Thousand Autumns, when Shun Xiao turned into a little kid, I didn't want that. I was like, no, don't do this. And Yan Wuxia was so mean to him. He said, hello, husband plus keyboard. They're saying hi. Good morning or evening, depending on where y'all at. If you didn't hear that, he said good morning or evening, depending on where y'all at. You said you read a Shunju fic that did it well. Well, that's nice. That's very nice. Speaking of Shunju fics, someone had commented under the how to train your Shunting 2 chapter reading that I did, and they were like, oh my gosh, this seems fun. Are you going to be reading this one? And I was like, no, this was just so you guys could get a taste and then go read it yourselves if you wanted. But I was like, you're more than welcome to like make a post in the community and commission people. And if enough people want it, now consider it. But I am thinking about reading it like in my own time, rereading it because it was so good. It was really, really good. So who knows what will happen? We'll see. Um, it needs a podfic. You okay? Is whatever happened okay? Oh, okay. But you said it needs a podfic. I mean, you know. Fanfics. Ah ha 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 ha. Yes, it's really good. Also, we're just gonna sit you go take a nap. So, yes, what I was going to do for Utma Utma to go ahead and give you just like a summary of what has happened thus far. So, we have the Imperial uncle, Da Feng Gua Guo, and it's in first person, just so you know. If you're like, why is she saying I? That's why. And I just rhymed and then did it again. Okay, so anyway, this guy, he is the Imperial uncle to the Emperor, right? And he is supposedly the most treasured family member, or like, let me see how it was put. Yes, the dearest uncle, dearer than any true uncle. That was, he was dubbed that by the Empress Dowager, and so he's supposed to take care of the emperor, if you will, and just be there for him to help advise him and all that stuff like that. But not only does he have that reputation specifically just for the Empress Dowager, he also has a pretty sucky reputation with the rest of the country. And basically, people just think that some people think he wants the throne, that he's eyeing it, and other people just think he's one of like the three poisons of the country. And he sleeps around a lot. So there's just this whole thing about he has a notorious um reputation, essentially. And so all that has happened thus far is he went home, right? And his wife, he went home with a couple of visitors, right? They were chilling. And then his wife comes out and she's like, I'm pregnant, but the child is not yours. And then they're just like, oh, okay. And so she says the child is his and just points to some regular worker who lives in the manor. And he's like, whoa, it's not my child. Don't say that. Like, I would never, ever, ever. And then so her husband, the main character, is like, okay, I literally hired him for this. So, woman, what are you talking about? And then she's like, oh, well, you're gay. Like, literally, this is what happens. And so she was so I guess since no one was really believing. No, she said that he was impotent first. That was the first thing. She was like, I slept with him because you're impotent. And then his guest was like, actually, I know he's not impotent because we've been to a lot of pleasure houses and he gets around, girl. Like, he gets around. And so she was like, well, you like guys. So it was like, okay, sure, let's just go with that then. Yes, mind you, this is the first chapter. So anyway, she's just basically like, I'm going to ruin your life. I'm going to ruin your reputation because I hate you so much. And that's my life's work. And we just get to see how that plays out just for a little bit, because it's kind of like, why does she hate him so much? But we find out it's simply because it was an arranged marriage. That's all that is. It's an arranged marriage that she did not want to partake in. So now she's trying to find a way to ruin her husband's reputation. Mind you, he truly did like her in the beginning and was hoping that things will work out well for them. But that's just not how things went. And so that's pretty much the main thing that has happened thus far. On the side, we have one of his nephews, um, who likes to spend money on antiques, but often gets scammed. And so there is a love interest that is introduced. No, it is not one of the nephews. It is a random chancellor whose name is Liu Tongyi, and he's like in love with this chancellor. So we'll see what happens from there. You said the princess is a funny headache. Oh my God, isn't she though? And he's talking in first person and also very humble mind. Yes, he is so humble. Like the most humble person I have ever met in my entire life. Very humble. And humble but cold and aloof on the outside, but his thoughts are a mess. Yes. Let's talk about these thoughts because one of the reasons I'm liking this already is because it's giving Shun Yuan inner monologue. Like, but not exactly the same way because obviously this is a different author, but his thoughts are funny. He's just a funny character. Like even when at one point the princess was like, "Oh my gosh, I hate my life. I didn't deserve a life like this." And he was like, "So you made your life worse?" Okay. Yeah, sure. That's smart. I was like, "Guy, I need you in my life. Let's be friends." So so he's the family favorite, pretty much. Like with the emperor, he said you are the one I rely the most on. And then with one of the brothers, he always goes to him and is like, "Can I have money so I can go buy this antique?" And he's always doted on him, and apparently he's doted on the other ones as well. So it's interesting how he has such a horrible reputation, but at the same time, like the emperor clearly relies on him. He's got one of the other imperial sons who clearly adores him, at least for his wallet at the very least. So those are basically the first two chapters though. um he does like guys after all. He turned into one, yes. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. I think it would be better for you to listen, but yes, essentially he pretended to be gay and ended up actually becoming gay. Like, so there's that. You said humble. Yes, humble. But yeah, literally a comedy, and everyone loves to keep hitting him hard where it hurts. I feel bad for him too, like seriously bad, because so far he hasn't done anything wrong at all. He does his gay exploration to steer clear of politics, I remember. So I happened to notice yesterday that chapter 3 is 60 pages. I was like, whoa. We've never read 60 pages in a live session before. At most, I think we've gotten to 50. So ooh, today's going to be a long one. Yeah. Or maybe we'll cut it off at 40 pages and then do like a part B. We'll just see. You said in all, Danmei being Imperial family is tough. Isn't it though? So my whale is not with me. And actually, I was about to show you guys this before we start reading. My husband, first off, he got duped by AI advertisement, but I still like what he bought for me. He bought me this book mug. Isn't it so cool? So the reason that I say he got duped is because the way it showed it was like glass or ceramic, whatever. And when you poured in the drink, you were supposed to see it. And especially a lot of videos showed people pouring in brown drinks like coffee or hot chocolate. And you would see it. And then the pages looked like kind of goldish, if you will. And it was really, really cool. And so he bought me this, and I was like, okay, cool. And so I unboxed it. I was doing a video and everything. And I was like, okay, you guys, let's watch. I was like, nothing's happening. And so I messaged him. I was like, "Hun, nothing's happening." And so I went on TikTok to look at videos only to see AI, 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 and AI, 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 and more videos of people complaining about, like, this is what I bought, this is what I got. And I was like, "Hun, I think you got duped." But I'm still happy with the purchase. So, because I think it's cute, and especially in person, it's a lot easier. I think you can see it. Yeah. The ridges, like the pages of the books. So, I'm satisfied with this purchase. It's not as big as 20N, but I don't drink a lot when reading anyway, because I know then I'll have to get up and pee. But once this is gone, then I'll just put this in there. So, we're all good to go. And we probably will take like a 5-minute break at some point. I'm gonna eat applesauce. He said, "Nice cup." Trauma is the right word. Wow. I know. I think the cup is so cool. AI ads are the plague. Yes. And then so like I was showing him, I was like, "Can you tell that this advertisement is AI?" And he was like, "No, I can't." And I was like, "Oh, well, I can." And so, it's just. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started because we got possibly a lot of ground to cover. And I don't know. It's a little daunting. So, Utma, I hope that was a good summary for you of what's happened. Again, it's not a lot that has taken place, so we are good to go. But yeah, one of the things I told him to like spot AI, although there are some AI that have people in them, and I don't know, when I see the people, I can clearly tell it's AI. But I was like, honestly, if I see an advertisement for something and they're only showing someone's hands in the product and not their face, that for me is one sign that it's AI because they're not showing a real person. So anyway, you said thank you. Okay, I'm glad. Glad it was good. Lots of people thinking other people can tell. Yeah, because I definitely thought it was obvious. I was like, you. It's like I don't know, something in the face. You could just tell it's not real, even though it looks really real. You can just tell it's not. But I don't know. So, for those of you who have this book, go ahead and grab it if you wanna. For those of you who don't, then you're just gonna listen to me. So, let's go ahead with chapter 3 of The Imperial Uncle by Feng Gua Guo, which I don't know. I think it's just a really funny name. Maybe it's really just the Gua Guo part. Gua Guo, Gua Guo, Gua Guo. Okay, I'm done. You said you get weird ick feels with AI at once. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, it always looks too perfect. I think that's the main thing. It's like, no. So let's go. You guys feel free to chat in the comments while I start reading. So, oh, I will say the only other thing, I'm sorry, Udma, is that he was asked by one of the people he is friends with, I guess, to come to a meeting place tomorrow to discuss some things. And the last chapter ended with this sentence: why did he insist on plotting rebellion with his father? That's all we got for that. So let's see if something will be answered in chapter 3. The next day, I went to the palace to tell the emperor and the empress dowager what arrangements I had made for the princess. I had meant to see Chija first, but a young eunuch told me that His Majesty was attending to official business in the imperial study. So I turned aside and went to see the Empress Dowager. When the Empress Dowager had heard out my arrangements for the princess, she said nothing. After a long moment, with her eyes half closed, she said, alas, when I arranged your marriage, I thought that, as Li Yue was an upright man, his daughter was sure to have been carefully brought up, that she would be a well bred girl of good moral character. Wang Qin and Yuan Tang both came to me at the time and also requested that their daughters be betrothed to you. I considered these three women. Wang Qin's daughter is an upright, well bred girl, but she isn't as attractive as Li Yue's daughter. With your looks, Prince Huai, only a beauty would suit you. Yuan Tang's daughter is attractive, but I've heard that her temper isn't very good. Little Yun Yu has such a sharp tongue, yet at home, even he goes in fear of his big sister. Moreover, Yuan Tang is His Majesty's grand tutor and might be said to belong to your generation. If his daughter were to marry you, that would be mixing the generations. So upon consideration, I selected Li Yue's daughter. Who could have thought it would turn out like this? It's all my fault. Yes, it's all your fault. Sitting in the position of lower precedence, I smiled obsequiously. How could it be your fault? Most of the blame for the princess's conduct lies with me. The Empress Dowager opened her eyes wide. Nonsense! How could it be your fault? Hadn't the princess already started her relationship with his guard before leaving her parents' home? Li Yue was a loyal minister of the court. How could he have so badly mismanaged his own household and let his daughter carry on like this? Lord Lee was busy with affairs of state, I said. He can be excused for overlooking matters at home. Moreover, prior to our marriage, the princess had lived a sheltered life with her parents. To speak coarsely, what young girl doesn't long for romance? She was young and ignorant then. She had read poems about talented scholars and fair ladies. She saw a young man, and she gave him her heart in secret. This is a common occurrence. I am certain that nothing ever really happened between them at the time. When she was married, she might have forgotten about it, but instead, after our marriage, I bowed my head and sighed. It is because I deserted her, so I don't blame her too much. The Empress Dowager produced a handkerchief and dabbed the corners of her eyes. Prince Huai, it makes me sick at heart to hear you speak like this. It was your bad luck. Your heart is open and your mind is broad. You are so considerate, even in your treatment of women. So why has it come to this? What of this? I shall arrange another marriage for you. I'll be sure to choose you a good match. I have a younger cousin who, like you, is young but belongs to an older generation. She's 17 this year and has yet to be betrothed. I've watched this child grow up. She is well behaved and clever, only a little shy. Her zodiac animal goes well with yours. Why don't I have a portrait brought to Huai Manor tomorrow so you can have a look? I sighed inwardly. Truly, the Empress Dowager's wariness of me hadn't slackened one iota. During the years I had been married to the princess, 2 or 3 times a month, she had been brought to the palace by the Empress Dowager for a talk. Now that the princess has just entered a convent, she wanted to give me her cousin instead. Don't you just love it when you're not trusted by the Empress Dowager or by the Emperor? It's just like the tell as old as time. It's like I'm over here minding my own business, and yet you don't trust me for whatever godforsaken reason. He said, you can't understand the princess at all. What does she want? No idea. No idea. So let's continue. After a deliberate silence, I said, if your cousin were willing to marry me, it would be the blessing of 3 times. But there are those unspeakable tendencies of mine, as you know. It would be nothing but a waste for any young lady to marry me. I think your hobby is only the slight waywardness of a romantic youth, the Empress Dowager persisted. You have nothing to worry about. My cousin is dutiful and gentle. She won't get jealous. Whatever romances you may have on the outside, you need to have a woman at home to support you and help you run the household. There are some things that only women can do. You are an only son, Prince Huai, and you are getting on in years. You ought to be thinking of the next generation. This little scheme of the Empress Dowager's really was a triumph. She would marry her cousin off to me, and her cousin would watch me day and night and bear my children. And in the future, the Empress Dowager's family would even have a share in my family inheritance. All right, I said, as you are willing to undertake the task, I will ask it of you. The Empress Dowager's greatest strength was her perseverance. If I kept sidestepping, she would keep chipping away, giving me no peace. I might as well fob her off by agreeing, then worry about it later. As expected, once I said this, the Empress Dowager's expression cleared. She told me a lot more about her cousin. About another half a shirton later, I finally made my escape and withdrew. When I came to the Imperial study again, Tija had concluded his business and a eunuch brought me inside. Upon seeing me, the first thing Tija said was, huh, you truly are swift and decisive, Imperial uncle. You had the whole thing settled yesterday morning. I smiled bitterly. There was hardly anything to settle. It just needed to be dealt with quietly, with some consideration given to appearances. The Empress Dowager is truly attentive. Just now, she wanted to arrange another marriage and betroth one of your majesty's cousin aunts to me. Chicha's expression stilled. Then he asked, did you agree? I evaded, saying that my bad habit couldn't be changed, and it would be a waste of the young lady's time. But the Empress Dowager's kindness is difficult to refuse. So I Chicha tilted his head as he looked at me. The corners of his mouth tipped up slightly. So you have come to lodge a complaint against our mother. You want us to help you get out of it? Of course. There was some hidden meaning in the corners of his mouth. You must be relieved now that the princess has gone to a convent. I remained silent. Chicho walked behind his desk and sat in his chair. He took a brush from the brush pot and toyed with it. We can say something to our mother, but how are you going to thank us? I bowed and said, Your Majesty is understanding. The imperial grace is vast. I am moved to tears of gratitude. This is like the second time he said that to the emperor. Moved to tears of gratitude. Are you really? The shaft of the brush in Chija's hand gently touched his chin. Just that? How stingy of you. Hard pressed, I said. But it is not as though I can casually invite your majesty to dinner. I'm all but facing financial ruin from how much of my money Teton has borrowed lately, and I have nothing worth offering your majesty. Twirling the brush, Tija said, At your house the other day, we saw a peach stone carved with the banquet of the eight immortals, a most fascinating object. Footnote number 5, Banquet of the Eight Immortals are Taoist deities, each of whom has a distinctive divine power and motif. Popular imagery depicts them crossing the sea or attending the Queen Mother of the West's birthday feast, where they eat the peaches of immortality. I love peaches. I want some peaches, but it's not that time of year. Goodness. My nephew, the Emperor, had sharp eyes. That night in the front hall, he had been surrounded by eunuchs and attendants, yet he had still seen something so minuscule. Your Majesty's eyesight is excellent. I could not obtain such a fine object myself. It was a gift. Oh, you cannot part with it, Imperial Uncle, said Chija. Could it be that it was a gift from a lover? I'd known when I heard the words Imperial Uncle that this would go badly. I quickly said, How could that be? I will go home today and have it packed and sent to the palace to be presented to your majesty. Chijo smiled in satisfaction. After a while, I asked for leave to withdraw. I had already turned around when I heard Chija speak behind me. Chungjun. I looked back. Chija was leaning back in his chair, looking at me. Don't worry. We will make certain that no new princess crosses your threshold. I bowed again. Thank you, Your Majesty. Upon leaving the imperial study, I walked slowly along the path. For some reason, when Chija had called me Chungjuan, it had given me a peculiar sensation. What kind? I remember the first time Chija called me by my courtesy name. It was the day his reign formally began, and also his 15th birthday. I had come to the palace with a jade scepter to congratulate him. As the occasion was a formal one, I performed full obedience and prostrated myself. It was then that I heard Chija rise. It was then that I heard Chija say, Rise, Chungjun. All the ministers were gathered in the great hall. When he said this, an absolute hush fell over the hall. I raised my head slightly, stunned. After a moment of quiet, the Empress Dowager, sitting beside him, stood and said, How can your majesty address Prince Huai like this? He is your majesty imperial uncle. It's improper to call an elder by name. Chija pressed his lips together in silence. His clear, bright eyes were focused on me. The Empress Dowager overstates the matter, I quickly said with a smile. It is a form of affectionate favor for His Majesty to address me in this way. While I am His Majesty's uncle, before that, I am His Majesty's subject. Indeed, I must express my gratitude that His Majesty is willing to address me by name. I touched my head to the ground again. Thank you, Your Majesty. When I rose, I saw Chija still looking at me, but now there was a trace of a smile on his lips. From that day forward, Chija's form of address toward me became confused. He called me Imperial Uncle, Prince Huai, or Chungjuan according to his whims. I wasn't strongly attached to any form of address, and anyway, he was the Emperor. I had no choice but to go along with his moods. It was also from then on that Chija seemed to become a different person. Before, he had been a taciturn child, even a little frail. After taking up the reins of power, he altered day by day, as if undergoing a complete transformation. Wonder why this is. Let me see. Question. Why is peach always equal to immortality? Peaches, 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 damn it. He said, fruits are fruits, but peaches are, well, peaches. They are lovable. I thought there was some kind of myth about peaches. Where did it go? I mean, probably. It's I'll see if I can find the peaches. I mean, I'll see if I can find the peaches really quickly. I'll see if I can find a really quick answer. Let's just derail for a quick second. Why associated with and which honestly, I think it's a great choice because I love peaches. Like peaches are one of my favorite fruits. Mm. He said peaches is in East what apples are in West. A lot of overlaid vibes. Okay, peaches symbolize immortality in Chinese culture because of myths about the peaches of immortality, which grow in the garden of the Queen Mother of the West, Xi Wang Mu, and ripen only every 3,000 to 9,000 years, granting eternal life of longevity to those who eat them, the divine fruit, central to blah, 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 blah. Trying to find a reason why peaches. Peaches grow in the celestial garden of Xi Wang Mu, a powerful goddess on the Kunlun Mountains. Okay. I don't know. So I guess they just decided to choose fruit. I mean, that fruit in particular. So it has divine origin, infrequent ripening, immortality granted, symbolism, and culture. Because of this legend, peaches have become an emblem of good fortune, fertility, marriage, yeah, I guess there is no specific reason like, oh, peach is specific for the I mean, everything starts that way, I guess. It's like, well, why is this called this or why is that associated with that? So, I guess they just chose the peach. Like it could have been an apple and then all of this would be about apples, but they just chose a peach, which is the perfect fruit to choose. So, that's all I got for you on that one. He says so much lore. Peaches, 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 peaches. Yes. Oh my gosh. Apples in Greek mythology, Bible, and it's always an unknown fruit, which we call apple. Yeah, that's the thing that's always to me. I'm like, why did we choose an apple? Because it's an unknown fruit. We don't know what fruit it was. And honestly, if I had to choose a fruit, it would not be an apple. So there's that. I'm going to get back to the reading once I find out where I left off. Oh, I found out where I left off. Chija had been appointed crown prince at birth. His upbringing had been different from the late emperor's other sons, and he had seldom left the palace. In his generation of princes and princes' sons, he had originally been the most distant from me, until one particular year. I remembered that he looked to be about 9 or 10. The late emperor was still alive then, and so was my mother. She was celebrating her birthday that day, shortly after the new year. Titan, Tifei, and the other princes had come with their consort mothers to play at Huai Manor. Tili, Titian, and the other princes' sons, as well as Yunyu, Wang Shen, and the other sons of important courtiers had also come with the grown-ups. The empress made an unexpected appearance as well, and even brought the crown prince, Qizhe. My mother hardly had time to greet all the distinguished guests who had come for her birthday. Children didn't like to attend banquets. They rushed out into the back garden to play. A dusting of snow was still falling as a whole passel of children ran around in the snow and rolled snowballs. The attendants were on tenterhooks. Really quickly, I have to look up this word passel because I have no idea what that means. A whole passel of children. I mean, I'm gonna equate it to like a flock of sheep, but I just want to make sure. Passel. A large group. Okay, look at me. Critical thinking. I was correct. Okay, so yes, passel is a large group of people or things of indeterminate number, a pack. There we have it. Oh, right. Only Chija sat on the veranda, wrapped in a fur coat as he watched the others play. Because he was crown prince and would one day be emperor, the whole crowd of children, having received instructions from the adults, didn't dare play with him in such a carefree manner. What if they shoved or yanked the future emperor in their roughhousing? He might remember it when he inherited the throne. So Chija could only sit there. His hand warmer, cushion, backrest, and even teacup had all been brought from the palace. A crowd of young and old eunuchs stood by to attend him. He sat there, not moving a muscle, like a puppet child. That sounds so boring and lonely. Oh my God. I would rather get hurt from roughhousing and we're just playing around than have to sit and watch y'all play without me. I also stood on the veranda, keeping an eye on the children to ensure they did not trip and fall. If anything happened, I went to help. As I stood watch, I saw an old eunuch offer tea to the little crown prince with a little velvet handkerchief under the cup. The little crown prince put his hand warmer on his knees and solemnly raised his little hands to take the teacup. He took tiny sips. The sight made me want to laugh. Perhaps Tija noticed me looking at him. He turned his bright black eyes on me, then immediately lowered his lashes and turned his head away. I thought to myself, the Empress has raised this prince to be fussier than a little princess. Comparing him to my other nephews as they ran around the courtyard like wild rabbits was enough to send anyone into a dither. As I thought this, Chijo once more turned his head to look at me. When I looked at him, he responded again by turning his head away immediately. Perhaps the child was shy and felt awkward. I was just thinking I might coax a few words out of him when, in the courtyard, Titan, Tili, and the other children shouted, Uncle Juan! Uncle Juan! I trotted over. Titan pointed at a plum blossom tree and said, Uncle Juan, I want a flower. I reached up to pick one, but Titan tugged on my robe and said, I want to pick it myself. So I held him up so he could pick the plum blossom himself. Once Titan was back on the ground, Tife, Tili, and the others gathered around my knees, clamoring that they wanted flowers too. I held each of them up in turn until the plum blossom tree was half bald. Let me see, off topic. What's your favorite English is clotted insanity word for flock or something is? Let me read that again because I didn't quite understand. Hold on. What's your favorite English is clotted insanity word for flock of something is? Um, I don't know. I think I have to agree with murder. Basically, what is your so there are words that are equivalent to passel or flock or murder, basically saying like a large number of something. So NFS is just asking what's your favorite word for that. So like a flock of sheep, a school of fish, a passel of children, a murder of is it crows? I think. Um, I don't know. I think out of all of those, it would probably be murder because I'm just like, why? Why is it a murder? Hold on. I'm trying to remember the animal. A murder of crows. Yes, that is what it is. I'm trying to remember what do you call a pack of lions? Word for pack. Oopsie. Typing with one hand is not fun. What's the word for a pack of lions? Pride. Right. How can I forget that? Okay, there's yes, also pride of lions. So there we go. Like murder. English is so insane. I don't understand it, even though I do understand it. You said you're still learning English too hard. I think it's just because we have so many rules that we break on a consistent basis. And normally that would be something that's okay. Like there are some rules I know in the Chinese language that are broken. But the problem with the English language is that it's not just English. English is a mixture of several languages. So when it comes to breaking rules, it's like we're also breaking the rules of those languages. It's just a whole kerfuffle of mess, you know? So is Ravens or Raven Conspiracy. Uh, it was a flock of crows is called. Yeah, Murder of Crows, a flock of sheep. Yes, pride. Pride of lions. How do they say 3 languages in a trench coat? That is precisely what English is. Because what are we? French, German, Latin, or something. I don't remember. Yeah. We got way too much going on. That's the point. So let me see. Also, just really quickly, because I was talking to someone about it on Patreon, where they were like, this book is giving incest. And so we were just talking about it, at least, well, the title, The Imperial Uncle. So it was like, okay, is it going to be about, like one of the nephews being with him? And so what I originally thought is, yes, it was going to be like the emperor because he's wearing, you know, the gold robe, the yellow robes. And so of course I'm like, well, if they're related, it's probably not by blood, so it's probably not going to be incest. But then we also know the main character is in love with someone else, and that someone else wears blue, and this character is wearing blue. So I was just like, I don't know. Like, is this a story of the emperor falling in love with or being in love with his uncle and they get together, or is it something else? I don't know. Like, so we're still trying to figure out like who the true love interest is, but just reading these little bits right here with the flashback to their childhood, probably it probably is the emperor. So let's clear. So you said they made clear they're not related. Yeah. And that's what I said. I was like, yeah, not by blood. So it's only incest if you're sleeping with someone who has the same blood as you. This is just, it might be a familial romance, but we'll see. We'll see. Now let's continue reading. Okay. Among the late emperor's son, Tife had always been fearfully canny. Holding up his flower, he said, I'm going to give this to my brother, the crown prince. I trotted over to the veranda to give it to Tija. I'm sorry. He trotted over to the veranda to give it to Tija. The other children also ran, following him from the courtyard, chirping and buzzing. One child, I forgot which, bumped into the eunuch beside Tija. The eunuch stumbled, and the tea in the pot he was holding spilled right onto Tija. There was instant chaos. The tea wasn't scalding, and Tija's clothes were thick, but he still got half soaked. And the eunuch was so scared that his hand shook uncontrollably. I had to go pick Tija up. Next to me, someone berated the child responsible for the accident. It was then that Tija unexpectedly spoke. There is nothing the matter with me. Do not scold him or punish him." His tone was extraordinarily unperturbed. I was surprised in spite of myself. Children these days really were each more mature than the last. Chicha's clothes were soaked through, but he had nothing to change into on hand, and my mother and I were not bold enough to give the crown prince my old childhood clothes to wear. In the end, we had him take off his outer layer for the time being and sit on a bed wrapped in a quilt while someone went to the palace to fetch him fresh clothes. He sat there, still not moving a muscle. I asked him if he wanted to eat a pastry. He nodded silently with his eyes cast down. I asked whether he wanted a walnut cookie or a mixed nut cake. Both? He looked at the two plates and still said nothing. I had to bring both plates up to him. He looked at the walnut cookie plate. Only when I picked up a cookie and presented it to him did his hand reach out of the quilt to take it. He brought it to his lips and nibbled on it. An old eunuch said to me with a smile, His Highness the Crown Prince isn't very fond of speaking when he visits an unfamiliar place. I felt overpowering unease at this. From that day forward, when Chiton and the others occasionally came to Huai Manor to play, Chijo came with him. Perhaps because he had become better acquainted with me on my mother's birthday, he came with fewer attendants and less ceremony, about the same as the late emperor's other son, and he wasn't as constrained as he had been that day. He became more and more open, except that he still didn't talk much. When he saw me at the palace, he would greet me, awkwardly calling out, Uncle Jun. When my father had been out on the battlefield, he had loved to bring home rare and strange items. It was in large part on account of these things that the late emperor's son enjoyed coming to Huai Manor so much, especially Titan. He never stood on ceremony when he took a fancy to something. He had to have it, even if it took throwing a tantrum. But Chijo was different. He never asked for anything, only looked. If he took a liking to something, he would keep looking at it, apparently indifferent, till I couldn't stand it anymore and brought the thing to him and asked whether it was to the crown prince's liking. Then he would say with great dignity, "Yes, it's acceptable." He would take it and stash it away, acting as if I had begged him to accept it. That's so funny. Here we are, just stare, stare, stare. Do you like this? It's all right. It's so funny. Hmm. You said author must be a fan of Binga. Probably. That's so funny. Let's see. Uh-huh. Tell it on a 9-year-old prince who kept looking at you, Imperial Uncle. Exactly. It's like, hey, you said you love their bond. Me too. My theory is not being dissuaded. What was your theory again? I'm sorry. I gotta go back. Tell me your theory again, because I already forgot. Me too, Crown Prince. Where are we? So I thought to myself then that, while this child was a little reserved on this point, he really did have the makings of an emperor. As I walked, I recalled the past and felt unexpectedly moved. In the blink of an eye, my imperial nephews had all grown up. I had made it this far without thinking anything of it, but looking back, I realized that many years had passed. Uncle has been claimed. Oh, as of right now, little prince latched on. I stood by the palace wall and watched the floating clouds on the horizon. I couldn't resist sighing with emotion. Oh, how quickly the years go by. Behind me, a voice called, "Your Highness Prince Huai." If a moment ago I had felt like an old scholar tree watching the green saplings around me shoot up graceful and tender, when I heard that voice, I instantly felt like a willow branch in a late spring breeze whose leaves had just turned the perfect green. I turned to look at him. In a voice like a soft willow frond, I said, "Chancellor Liu, oh, your crush is back." So that's all it is. Okay. You said, or it turns out to be a love interest. Okay, so his little crush is here. I waited for Chancellor Liu to reach me, then walked beside him. He said to me, "I think I just heard your highness lamenting the passage of the years. Were you moved by the sight of the setting sun?" With an embarrassed smile, I said, "No. I happened to think of the past, so I felt a little nostalgic." Liu Tongyi made an understanding sound. Keeping my composure, I snuck a glance at his quietly elegant face. If he had been someone else and said precisely the same thing, Yunyu, for example, or Titan, Qili, or any of the rest, he would certainly have been teasing me. But how could Rensa tease me? You said, "Oh no, that's the blue man." He must have been expounding on an artistic conception, like a poem. It was just that I was too vulgar myself and had understood the words to be vulgar. But my response couldn't betray my weakness. I had to match Ransa by being more poetic. So I looked at the setting sun, which was still bright enough to dazzle, then said gently, "Chancellor Liu, do you like to watch the sunset? Every time I see the setting sun, I think of poetry. The words float in my mind like ruddy clouds in the sky." Sir, you were not poetic at all. Liu Tongyi brought his sleeve up to his mouth and gave a gentle cough. I waited and heard no response from him. I quickly asked, "Are you unwell, Chancellor Liu? Would you like me to see you home?" I'm sorry. It's just probably because it was so bad. You said right. He is totally idolizing. He probably was teasing you. Um, does the uncle got a lover? No, he doesn't. But this is his crush. Chancellor Liu. He's like the complete opposite of him when it comes to reputation. He's very saintly, if you will. So, and he really, really likes him. You said, oh, the self awareness. Zero. Chancellor Liu. No, I'm fine. Just embarrassed for you. With a trace of a smile, Liu Tongyi said, oh, it's nothing. There was just something in my throat. Perhaps I was too moved by the sunset. Suddenly, I asked Liu Tongyi a question I thought I would never dare to ask. Okay. Chancellor Liu, I asked, what do you think of me? Oh, okay. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I regretted them. What could he think of me? He certainly wouldn't tell the truth to my face. Sure enough, Liu Tongyi stared at me. At least his expression remained unchanged. He said, why does your highness ask? I quickly said, oh, it's nothing. Perhaps too much has been happening lately, and I've started to feel a little heavy-hearted. If you don't want to answer, then take my question as unasked. Be at ease, your highness, said Liu Tongyi. Some things are best left in the past. In saying so, he gently bypassed my question. When I heard this, I felt a peculiar sensation. He had steered the conversation away because that question had been inconvenient to answer, but he preferred not to answer rather than fob me off with jargon. I felt a little gratified. While his words of consolation were only said out of politeness, I was still happy to be comforted by him. You're leaving? Wah, 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 wah. Love you much. Love you too. Have fun. Appreciate it. Okay. I lost my place. Where was I? I lost my place. Oh, I found it. You said this is going to end up a villain and another true love interest, right? Danmei got a Danmei, right? No, you're not third willing. You guys are so Oh my gosh. Leave me alone, you guys. Okay. It's like reading a manhwa. And the penis is a glow stick. But you still see the words. Flop, flop, flop. Okay. I digress. You guys, don't make me laugh like that. I don't know why I should have fallen in love with Liu Tongyi. Given the present situation at court, even if that rotten old man, Wang Qin, one day began carrying on a clandestine love affair with the Empress Dowager, Liu Tongyi and I would still never stand together. The Lius were an illustrious noble family whose ancestor had aided our first emperor in establishing the dynasty and received the position of imperial chancellor in return. Official families often live up to the folk saying that wealth doesn't last out 3 generations and fame doesn't last 5, but the Liu clan has always flourished. Each generation has produced 1 or 2 senior officials who unwaveringly repaid the court's favor, sparing no effort to perform their duty. If only a single plaque of honor for a loyal family existed in the world, then it would surely hang above the door of the Liu residence. Liu Tongyi's grandfather, Liu Xian, had a younger sister who had been the Tongguang Emperor's empress. When the Tongguang Emperor was still on the throne and my father was a young man who had just set foot on the battlefield, then supervisor of the imperial censorate and brother-in-law to the Emperor Liu Xian repeatedly submitted memorials to the Tongguan Emperor asking that, for the sake of his throne and the emperor and the crown prince's future, his majesty refrain from giving an imperial prince too much military authority. He strongly advised that the Tongguang emperor keep my father in idleness. Luckily, the emperor did not listen, but later, his son, the late emperor, kept his guard up against my father as if against a would be thief. His uncle Liu Xian's contributions there had been indispensable. Liu Tongyi's father also once had a great future ahead of him, but sadly, his luck was poor. Just after he became the fourth rank perfect of the Jiangdong prefecture, he contracted lung disease in the course of managing a flood and died young. Yeah. Liu Tongyi was a few years older than Qi Zhe, Qitan, Qili, Yunyu, and the others. There were no con- there was no connection between the Liu residence and Huai Manor, and he had only returned to the capital after his father died of illness, so I had seen nothing of him as a child. The first time I met him would have been at the palace. I think it was the 15th day of the 8th month, the mid autumn festival. The late emperor was already quite seriously ill at the time, but he had still exerted himself to hold a moon viewing banquet in the imperial gardens. The important ministers and their sons had all been invited. Liu Shen must have been in his 70s or 80s then, his hair and beard white, but he had still come tottering to attend. He remained the head of the court's honest officials. Seated at the banquet, he was like the full moon itself. My future father in law, Li Yue, and the other so called loyal ministers and able generals who professed themselves aloof from politics clustered around him like stars. Of course, there was no place for me among them. I had to sit among my cousin princes or with Yuan Tang, Wang Qin, and such others. I was still quite young then and had nothing to say to either of them. I'm sorry. I was still quite young then and had nothing to say to them either. I felt dreadfully dull, so I drank some cups of wine and, on the pretext of going to empty my bladder, went for a stroll through the Imperial Garden shrubbery. I feel the awkwardness, yes. Oh, yeah, I agree, NFS. Chitan, Chili, and so on were running around amusing themselves in the imperial gardens with palace maids and eunuchs going in circles after them. I stood there watching them a while, then headed for somewhere quieter. Upon coming to the imperial pond, I finally stood still. A gentle breeze, a bright moon, the scent of osmanthus flowers, and a sky full of stars floating upon the surface of the water. Vapor mingled with the scent of flowers and poured into my spirit. I felt my heart become as clear as the pond water. I stood there for a time. Just as I was about to move on, at the far end of the covered walkway beside the pond where I was headed, I saw a seated youth. I know, right? I was like, okay, that was very poetic. I liked that. So I'm actually going to highlight it because it was just nice. Um, actually, I'll highlight the whole thing. Mm-mm-mm. I want vapor with mingled scent of flowers to pour into my spirit. Anybody else want that? Hold on. Trying to get a sticky note. That's the most. He should have used that for poetry when he was talking earlier. Entry of ML energy. uh, is it even Danmei if no osmanthus? Next on bingo chart. Oriel. You know what? Next time we play Danmei bingo, I'm going to have osmanthus something something on there, or and a peach blossom something something as well. Yes. I wouldn't say I was a cut sleeve back then, but presented with such a scene, with such a moon, such a breeze, such water, such a scent of flowers, at my first glimpse of that beautiful and elegant youth, for an instant, I thought he was the spirit of the osmanthus flowers given human form. Come on! You better speak, my guy. Okay. Let me snap. You're right. Exactly, Anne. So where was this poetry just a couple seconds ago? Anyway, it was a momentary daze. When I looked again, I knew that wasn't the case. The youth appeared to be 15 or 16 years old, dressed in a thin robe. Though he seemed subdued, it was clear at a glance that there was nothing ordinary about him. He leaned against a pillar of the walkway as he sat on the steps, holding a book in his hands and reading it by the light of the lantern above his head. He must have been part of some courtier's family, but why had he brought a book to an imperial banquet and snuck off here to read it? I probably would have done the same thing. I guessed that either this youth really did love books as much as his own. Hold on, the word is the ink. Something happened with the ink there. Okay. I guess that either this youth really did love books as much as his own life, or a family elder had instructed him to do this. If someone saw him, especially the emperor, he would ask, "What family does this diligent youth belong to?" That should get his reputation off the ground. The youth hadn't noticed me. He held his book in both hands, all his attention apparently focused on reading. It seemed he wasn't doing it for show. I stood there, then stepped forward. "Aren't you worried that reading by such dim light will damage your eyesight?" "That's what they say, but my eyes are still okay." The youth seemed startled. He raised his head, quickly shut the book in his hands, and stood. I smiled and took a couple more steps forward. His expression gradually calmed. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Your Highness Prince Huai." Presumably, we had met earlier at the banquet, but I hadn't taken notice. "No need for such formality," I said. "Just speak naturally. Which family do you belong to? Why have you come here to read?" "My name is Liu Tongyi," he answered. "Liu Xian is my grandfather." Hmm. So he was Liu Xian's grandson. It was understandable then that he would have run off to a quiet place to read. He stood there with an easy manner and the refinement of a person raised amid stacks of Confucian classics, befitting of a scion of the Liu clan. He was very good looking now, but perhaps in another decade there would be a young Liu Xian at court. Alas, what a pity to lose the youth he was now. I scrutinized him, from his face to the book in his hands, and found that despite his easy and respectful manner, his sleeves were shaking slightly. He was in the process of stealthily concealing the book he had been reading in his sleeve. "What were you reading just now?" I asked with feigned indifference. Liu Tongyi's expression appeared a little discomfited, but he still said with apparent ease, "Oh, an ordinary book." "Can you show me?" I asked. NFS. uh, it's just the. I'm trying to read. You guys stop making me laugh. um, it's just the standard Mencius. Your Highness Prince Huai must have read it. As he said this, his eyes flickered, like water rippling in the moonlight. I glanced at the blue corner sticking out of his sleeve. Is that so? I came a little closer and took hold of the sleeve where he was hiding the book, then looked down into his eyes and said, smiling, "You must not have much experience reading books in secret. You have to pay attention to whether the book is upside down when you hide it in, in your sleeve. You've even shown me the title." Okay. I raised his arm and took the book from his sleeve. Written on the cover was the title, "The Legend of the Red Bearded Hero." This was a chivalric romance that had once been popular in the book binderies. Liu Xian's grandson was reading this? I'm sorry, I'm still laughing. The story can't be taken too seriously at times. We can't help it, Mari. Sorry, not sorry. I'm trying to think. What what feeling is this? This is giving me peerless vibes when we read it live and I just could not stop laughing because I'm trying to take this book seriously, but I'm having a really hard time. Okay. No, is he reading smut or something? Nope, he's reading a chivalric romance. he's he's reading the original SVSSS book, Proud Demon, The Legend of the Red Bearded Hero. I looked at him in astonishment. Is your name really Liu, not Wang or Yuan? The Wang and Yuan children were all crafty. If they were caught misbehaving, they could lie about who they were without batting an eyelash. He looked at me a little doubtfully, his eyes as utterly clear as the water of the star filled pond. I rolled up the book and did right by him. The Legend of the Red Bearded Hero is an imitation, plagiarized from the Divine White Jade Sword, and inferior to it. Moreover, this copy you have is a censored edition. I'm sorry, but I heard the Divine White Jade Sword and immediately thought Heavenly Pillar. Anybody else? Oh gosh. He gave an exclamation and said, I think this edition is already excellent. While the language is direct and unornamented, it is precise and penetrating. The poetry appears crude at first glance, but carefully considered, it feels exceptionally apt. I'm sorry. Okay. Help. Somebody help, please. Because I'm going to lose it. Watching him speak so earnestly, I couldn't help feeling amused. He must have been telling the truth about being Liu Shan's grandson. That's because you haven't read anything better. Among writers of storybooks and romances, this master of Snowstorm House can only be considered average, and his language is all copied from the scholar of the Red Leaves of the Western Hills, the author of the Divine White Jade Sword. There are also other authors, such as The Mad Drunkard, Bai Ruyi, and so on. They are truly outstanding. Liu Tongyi's eyes were bright, his expression rapt. I continued. You'll be able to find them if you sneak over to the bookbindery in the southwest corner of the capital on the Copper Coin Lane. Huh? Copper Coin! Okay. Sorry. In the southwest corner of the capital on Copper Coin Lane is a shop that's quite well stocked, where you can even buy uncensored editions. So many nods to other Dame. Right. And I'm not even sure when this was written or when they were written and if they're actually really nods or not, but we're just finding them because we want to. Liu Tongyi's eyes shone even brighter. Looking into them, I couldn't help adding, although you should probably still buy the clean editions. The full editions might not be a good fit for you. These romances had many depictions of love between their heroes and various women. The so called clean editions were what was left over after these parts were excised. I certainly wouldn't read them, but I was worried the things in the full editions would be indigestible to Liu Shan's grandson. Frowning slightly, Liu Tongyi said, Why? I could only vaguely say. The full editions can be slightly explicit concerning matters between men and women. Liu Tongyi. How? Sir. He must have wanted to ask how they were explicit, but as soon as the single word how was out of his mouth, he had a realization and fell silent. I looked at him by moonlight and lamplight. His face seemed slightly flushed. Give me details, teacher. I couldn't resist saying with a laugh. You see, just like I said, you're better off reading the clean editions. Liu Tongyi stared at me without speaking. His blush seemed to deepen. As I laughed, I heard distant footsteps approaching us and returned the book to him at once. Someone's coming. Hide the book well, and remember when you read it in secret at home, not to hide it in your bedding, or it may be shaken out by servants, making the bed. Under the bedboard is a more reliable hiding place. I drew closer to him and whispered, I've gotten beaten when I was a little. I'm sorry. I got beaten when I was little because I didn't hide my books properly. It's a bloody tale. Liu Tongyi had been listening with unwavering attention. Then he laughed. The footsteps came closer and closer. I heard someone calling for me. Your Highness Prince Huai? Is that your Highness over there? His Majesty has summoned you. So I hurriedly bade farewell to Liu Tongyi, who tucked the book into his sleeve properly and stood there. As I turned the corner of the path, I saw him leaving by the walkway as well. After that, I did not see him again, and the Liu family was not fond of publicity. So I heard hardly any news of him either. Bit by bit, the encounter left my mind until I had all but forgotten it. I remembered him only some years later. It was not long after Qija's personal reign began, when Liu Tongyi was named the Zhuangyuan, first place graduate of that year's palace examinations, and his name spread overnight through the capital. At the Qiongling banquet held to honor the top three graduates of the palace examination, I was among those in attendance. As a rule, the banquet was held in the Imperial Gardens, right beside the Imperial Pond. When I arrived at the palace, the three new top graduates and the officials attending the banquet were all present. Only the emperor had yet to arrive. I entered the gardens and from a distance glimpsed the I'm going to say that again. I entered the garden and from a distance glimpsed the bright red robe of the Zhuangyuan among a cluster of peonies. Once again, the events of the 15th day of the 8th month some years ago came to mind. I wondered what that youth who had been reading a popular novel in stealth had become. He had indeed been surpassingly beautiful at the time, but there are people who are good looking when young, but as they mature, grow in an incredibly ugly direction. I hoped he didn't look like Liu Shen minus the beard, wrinkles, and white hair. I was prepared to meet him and take an idle moment to ask whether he had gone on to read the divine white jade sword, and had he read the full edition or the clean one. It is so true. Take some water, Mari Chan. Your throat might be straight. The crazy thing is, from whatever sickness I got, it's still here. I hate it so much. Like, it's barely there, but it's still here. And I'm just like, please go away. Please. So yes, I should drink. It's almost empty. Oh man. Sorry, I got a piece of ice. I guess I'll chew it. Some ASMR for you. Yes, lingering sicknesses are the worst. And usually that doesn't happen. Like, once the sickness is done, it's done. But this one, whatever it is, it's here. So you said I have a Bing. I like that. Wonderful wordplay. Yes. Also, for those who don't know, Bing is sickness, and huh is to drink. So she was like, "You have a sickness, drink." At least that was perfection. Oh my gosh, thank you, NFS. You are on a roll today. Okay, let me keep reading. Okay. The figure in the red Zhuangyuan robe had its back to me, in conversation with the second and third place graduates and some elderly courtiers. The first to see me was the secretariat director, who was facing the path, and he said at once, smiling, His Highness Prince Huai is here. Greetings, Your Highness. Disclaiming formality, I came forward. The others turned around, and I saw that red robed figure turn as well. As he did, night ended above the star filled pond, shining in the moonlight of years past, and the morning sun shone bright. The lingering osmanthus fragrance dispersed, and the parasol tree leaves grew green, the crepe myrtle flowers dense. All of that happened. He lifted his sleeves and bowed his head. Respectful greetings to your Highness Prince Huai. I heard my own voice say, no need for such formality, Zhang Yuan Liu. And in that moment, there was no way I could have brought myself to deliver my prepared quip. People are so strange. The whole world takes me for a treacherous prince, and I have always felt unbearably wronged by it, always viewed myself as a loyal subject and a good person. But when I saw Liu Tongyi, I knew instantly that he and I would never be the same kind of person. It was as if a line were drawn before me, plain as day. He stood on the other side of it, like the clearest of clear lakes under the sun, and I stood on this side, like a pot of cloudy noodle broth. All around us, there was brightness in the dark, darkness in the bright, and none of it as pure as the patch of blue sky above his head. In a low voice, Yuantang said, in the early years, we'll have another Liu Xian. Perhaps, I said, and perhaps he'll surpass Liu Xian. At the very least, he wouldn't have Liu Xian's face. It was over a year ago now that Liu Tongyi had taken up the Imperial Chancellor's seal and stood in his blue robe of office at the head of the court. Never before in the history of this dynasty had a man under 30 been appointed Imperial Chancellor. He was the youngest person in centuries to wear that robe and stand in that position. Yuan Tong said to me, Your Highness Prince Huai's eye is accurate indeed. I modestly said, I do all right. Yes, you modestly said. That copy of The Legend of the Red Bearded Hero, once read beneath the glass lantern in the walkway of the Imperial Gardens, might have been buried in some corner beneath sage essays and strategies of administration. Or perhaps it had long since been turned into a heap of ashes, swept up, and dusted off. But at the Qiongling banquet in the Imperial Gardens, and when he first stood before the court in his robe of office, I stuck silvers of my soul I stuck slivers of my soul fast to his sleeve. Like a donkey on a leash, I knew that it was stupid to keep going in circles, but had no choice but to revolve around him. Too modest, sir, too modest. Also, really quick, I just want to see how many pages we've read. So we are on page 45. Okay, so 45 to... I'm just trying to gauge if I think we'll be able to make it all the way through this chapter. I don't think so. I think maybe we can make it to page 85. Okay, possibly. Let's keep reading. We've read 45 pages or so in a live session before, but this goes literally from page 45 to page I think 111. So that's like, yeah, it's a lot of pages to read in this chapter. That's why I was like, oh shoot, I don't know if we'll be able to get through all of this today because yeah, it's over 60 pages. Yeah. So we'll see how far we get before we stop. At most, I think I'll read for like another hour and just see where we are. The ancients had a saying, when brought to a certain pass by the pangs of love, a man becomes a sage. I didn't know whether in my present situation I amounted to a minor sage or a great sage. I snuck another glance at Liu Tongyi walking beside me. It would have been better if he, like Yun Yu, could have worn brighter clothes more often, and better still if his hair wasn't always entirely up. Oh, I know, I love it when you guys' hair is down. Supposing that in the future I truly did accomplish something staggering labor. Do that again. Supposing that in the future I truly did accomplish some staggering labor of loyalty, perhaps that line would disappear. If I asked him then to walk shoulder to shoulder with me, in spirit as well as in body, would he be willing? Though Liu Tongyi was always in my mind, I had never thought of anything really happening between us. At most, I had thought that the preceding scenario might come true, or perhaps in addition to that, we could occasionally play weiqi, chat, drink tea, mm, things of that nature. That would be plenty. I was moved by my inner I was moved by my own inner world and on the point of once again sighing with emotion as I looked upon the setting sun. An irascible voice said darkly beside me, Imperial Uncle. My soul was immediately rankled back from the evening glow into my mortal shell. I turned my head and saw Teton's face, as irascible as his voice. That's called delusion. I was astonished. Where did you crop up from? Teton looked at me dolefully. Imperial Uncle, I followed you all this way and called to you so many times, and you wouldn't even look at me. Oh well, I said. I had something on my mind. I didn't notice. My mind had been wandering something fierce. Perhaps I had forgotten myself in front of Ranci. Feigning nonchalance, I swept a glance over at Liu Tongyi. His expression was normal, with a trace of a smile at the corners of his lips. It was probably all right. I was just about to speak again when a languid voice behind me sounded. Your Highness Prince Dai. I believe I was right to say His Highness Prince Huai couldn't come back to himself before he reached the palace gate. You've lost the bet. The speaker came up beside Titan. Supervisor Yuen, I said, why are you in the same place as Titan? If I had known that was Yun Yu, I definitely would have said it in his voice, but that's okay. He said Bing Mei sinking attention. Yun Yu smiled. Titan raced to speak first. Imperial Uncle, Supervisor Yun and I happened across each other while chasing after you and Chancellor Liu. Don't misunderstand. What do you mean, don't misunderstand? Smiling, Yun Yu said, Your Highness Prince Huai and Chancellor Liu have met again? Oh, yes. Also a coincidence. A mere coincidence, I said. Liu Tongyi stopped walking and said, Your Highness Prince Huai, it seems His Highness Prince Dai has urgent business to discuss. I will bid you farewell. Please stay, I said. Titan echoed, Please stay, Chancellor Liu. Yun Yu stood by and watched. Was there something else, Your Highness? Said Liu Tongyi. Oh, I said. It was nothing. Only I thought Prince Dai might not only have been looking for me, but also had something to say to Chancellor Liu. So I asked if he would stay for a moment. He said, I'm clueless, but this is ridiculous. Yun Yu chipped in. Yes, Your Highness Prince Huai put in a timely word to keep Chancellor Liu back before His Highness Prince Dai could speak. It seems that His Highness Prince Dai does indeed have something important to say to Chancellor Liu. It seemed Yun Yu was having a close match with my nephew Titan today. Each said something more awkward than the last. Fortunately, Liu Tongyi seemed not to have noticed any implications. With perfect timing, Titan said, It's like this. The other day, I put Chancellor Liu and my imperial uncle, Prince Huai, to the trouble of appraising a fake antique for me, which saved me a considerable sum of money that would otherwise have been wrongly spent. I have put together a banquet at my residence and entreat my imperial uncle and Chancellor Liu to honor me with their presence tonight. It wasn't in vain that I doted on Teton since he was little. The child grew more and more capable all the time. Liu Tongyi made no strenuous efforts to decline. He agreed readily. Of course, I had no reason not to agree. I see that I have no business here, said Yunyu, so I will take my leave. He made to turn away. Teton immediately said, I entreat Supervisor Yuen to honor me with his presence as well. I was the loser in our bet just now, so I ought to invite you to dinner. Then he turned to me and said, Right, Imperial Uncle? Why was Chitan talking so strangely today? All I could do was nod and say, Of course, of course. That's only natural. Points for Yun Yu. I like him. um, Yun Yu looked at Chitan, then at me. He said, Then I really will go. Do not hide your fine wine, your highness, Prince Di. Teton answered at once, smiling. Of course, I am sure my imperial uncle wouldn't allow it. With the gate of the imperial palace before us, Teton suddenly tugged on my sleeve and kept me back a couple of steps. He put on a suggestive smile and whispered in my ear, Imperial Uncle, Supervisor Ewan and I followed you for ages, watching you with all your attention focused on walking beside Chancellor Liu. At dinner, leave Chancellor Liu to me. You can focus on talking to Supervisor Ewan. I choked on the wind. Supervisor Ewan. Teton flapped my sleeve and winked. Imperial Uncle, outsiders may not be able to tell, but your nephew knows everything. You know what? Teton said in my ear. I was just saying to my imperial brother how these last few years you've. Well, tossing out this statement, he released my sleeve and made straight for Liu Tongyi. Chancellor Liu! What do you know, sir? Go sit down somewhere. Also, I'm sorry, I meant for us to take a break because we've reached like an hour and a half. Um, Let me look at you guys' comments. You said Chancellor Liu gonna get thrown off the balcony. Oh God. MC is kind of naive at times. I do agree. Yes. He can see that he is fond of him. Yes. Okay, so really quickly, we are going to just take a 5-minute break. So if you need to potty or you want to go get something to eat or drink, you can go do that. I am going to go get myself some more water and probably eat my applesauce. So 5 minutes. I'm going to have Siri set a timer. 5-minute timer, please. Okay. You said the prince died, just loves tormenting Prince Y. More water, no bathroom. Well, because it's in such a tiny cup, I don't have to use the bathroom. So we're good to go. Let's take our break. I'm just gonna. Actually, I could just like share my screen again, I guess. You said whale-sized bladder. You say you've never needed breaks. You take your phone to the bathroom with you all the time. Nice. Yeah. I'm usually on my phone when I do lives too, but I know sometimes when I've recently started putting in breaks, people are like thank you because I'm gonna go run and do this or something like that. So plus it's also just an opportunity for me to take a break because be, since we start these lives at 10 and I like getting everything ready, I usually don't have time to eat or yeah. So I usually just want like a little munchy munchy. I went to this restaurant with my husband yesterday. It was my first time and everything was perfect. Oh my God, everything was perfect. So right now, probably shouldn't start my day by eating this, but I don't care. They had a cream cheese pound cake and it's only a little bit, so I'm gonna munch on it a little bit. I ate today, right? No, I haven't. I haven't. Because I woke up late. I had a rough night of sleep. So, and then I pretty much only had time to get myself ready for this. Mm. Mm. What are you right now? And I guess it doesn't have to be a full 5-minute break. Oh, is it already almost over? I thought I just set the alarm. I guess it will be a 5-minute break. Okay. Mm-mm, mm-mm-mm-mm. Anyway, there have been a lot of flashbacks in this chapter. Give you? Here you go. Did you take a bite? Why? You guys, I love applesauce. Like, oh my gosh. It's just so good. You can't go wrong with it, which is why I try not to buy the big tubs because I will definitely give myself more servings than I need. So I buy the individual packs so that I can monitor myself. And I'm like, Kamaria, you can have no more than 2 a day. Okay. Okay. He said, no, no. Well, if it's making you drool, maybe you should go eat something. Okay. I don't need any more of that for now. But it was a Jamaican restaurant. It was so good. Here's another bite. Okay. That's my alarm. Apparently, it's been 5 minutes. I'm upset. Well, Udma said, gimme. I was just trying to give you. Okay. I'm sorry. That's fine. Jump to the screen. Get you some applesauce. It's really delicious. Well, if you jump to the screen, you're not going to get anything now because it's all gone. Here's my little trash can. Okay. We can continue reading now. I'm so sorry for baiting you guys. That was very rude of me. Okay. Ready to continue. Let's do this. Once I figure out where I am. You say you just had your snack, so no baiting here. Utma, is it good? Right, because I gave you a bite. Was it good? Please tell me it was good to you, because it was good to me. And it's cinnamon flavored as well. So, that's the best. I just have to find out where I am. Oh, no, I'm right here. Okay, yes. For some reason, I thought this was not the place, but this is the place. He said, me using my break to read reviews and see that nobody knows who TF is supposed to be on the cover. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, who? I don't know. Who's the love interest? Is it Liu Tongyi or is it the Emperor? We'll need to rely on other art, if any. It tastes good. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. So let's continue reading now. We've got about approximately 45 minutes left of reading. Very sweet. So now I knew who had spoken before the emperor to make him say there was something more to my relationship with you and you. I had nothing left to hope for from Prince Dai. My lungs ached from vexation, and I couldn't even call him a little bastard, because if he was a little bastard, that made me the little bastard's uncle. Settling my breath, I went home to change into casual clothes, then came to Dai Manor. Liu Tongyi and Yun Yu had both already taken their seats. Titan really knew how to put on a production. With four people eating, he had set two tables. The two long, narrow tables faced each other, one on either side of the small hall. Food and wine were both laid out on both tables, and two chairs had been placed at each one. The table for him, one table for him and Liu Tongyi, one for me and Yun Yu. Quite a skillful partition. What is dispersed romance? mm, I'll let somebody else answer. The whole width of the center of the hall lay between the two tables, 18,000 li in all. There are only four of us eating, I said, and neither Chancellor Liu nor Supervisor Yuan is an outsider. Couldn't you have laid one table? It would be cheerful and companionable. You can't be worried that Supervisor Yuan and I will fight for your food. Sorry. You can't be worried that Supervisor Yuan and I will fight you for the food. You, Chancellor Liu, and Supervisor Yuan are all honored guests, said Titan. It would be too vulgar to heap a single table with dishes. That's no way to receive any of you. I have made other arrangements. Saying so, he picked up a pitcher of poor wine for Liu Tongyi. Chancellor Liu, if you'll permit me. Liu Tongyi half rose from his seat. That is too great an honor for me. I will pour for myself. He took the pitcher from Titan. Perhaps it was my mistake, but Titan seemed to brush Liu Tongyi's hand. Oh, calm down, sir. Yunyu was holding a wine pitcher and pouring wine. He gently elbowed my arm and aimed a look in Titan's direction. He had seen it too, so I wasn't being oversensitive. As I ate, I watched the table opposite. Titan was a flurry of movement, pausing hardly at all. Oh, y'all talking about something else. Okay. Sorry, I just lost my place. Why did I do that? Chancellor Liu, try this. This came from the Western Region's tribute. It's called something something ke sausage and contains foreign pork. Not like our ordinary pork. Vulgar. Chancellor Liu, what do you think of this dish? Too bland or too strong? I put down my empty cup and picked up the wine pitcher to refill it. Yun Yu idly pushed almonds around in a dish with his chopsticks. Titan had expanded all his skills on Liu Tongyi today. Yun Yu didn't eat sweet and salty foods, and the dishes in front of him just happened to be exactly those. I rolled up my sleeve and swapped two of his dishes with untouched ones in front of me. Yun Yu said quietly to me, "Why does it strike me that Prince Dai is competing with you, Your Highness?" I frowned. I recalled that Titan had never shared my interests. Yun Yu, with a false smile, said, "Your Highness is free not to believe me. Would you like to make a bet?" Soon, I understood the true motive behind Titan's solicitousness. Two domestic two domestics brought a small table to the center of the room. On it was a brocade box. Okay, so now we know why he's been buttering up the Chancellor. Okay. Ah. Smiling brightly, Titan said to Liu Tongyi, "Chancellor Liu, I've never had any indulgence apart from collecting antiques. Now that I have you here, there are a few things I'd like to trouble you to have a look at for me." He set down his ivory chopsticks and clapped. The two servants opened the box and lifted out a jade vase. Titan said, "This is said to be a love token given by Lu Buwei to Lady Zhao." Footnote number 6. Lu Buwei was chancellor to King Zhuangxiang of Qin during the Warring States period. Lady Zhao was a dancing girl in Lu Buwei's home who married Zhuangxiang. A sprig of peach blossoms is featured on the vase, expressing love. What does Chancellor Liu think of this vase? Liu Tongyi looked at the vase and, with a faint smile, said, "The jade quality is good." Then he said nothing further. Chiton waited, then asked, "Its provenance?" "I cannot be certain," said Liu Tongyi. Titan's expression dimmed. He wasn't stupid in matters like these. Liu Tongyi had noticed something amiss, but couldn't very well say so. Titan waved a hand. The two servants packed up the vase in its brocade box and bore it away. Then they returned bearing another box with a wine pitcher inside it. Titan said that it was of roughly the same period as the vase and had been used by Ying Zheng. Footnote number 7. Ying Zheng was Zhuangxiang's son by Lady Zhao, and the first Chinese ruler to take on the title of emperor, styled Qin Shi Huang, or the first emperor of Qin. Liu Tongyi praised the pattern on the pot, and then once more refrained from saying more. Titan's expression darkened again. In other words, everything you bought is fake, 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 fake. I sat there looking on as he had item after item brought out and drooped increment by increment at each appraisal. I couldn't quite bear to watch. I whispered feelingly to Yun Yu. He's already bought them. He may as well set them out as though they were real. Why submit himself to such torment? Yun Yu shot me a glance. Your Highness Prince Huai appears greatly distressed. I sighed. Of course I'm distressed. More of my own money went into those things than Prince Dai's. Yun Yu raised a hand to refill my wine cup. Your Highness's money went to doting on your nephew. It didn't go to waste. His smile showed great delight in my misery. Titan's precious antiques were still being brought in one after another. No sooner had a clay horse been taken away than a pretty serving girl came forward gracefully, bearing a jade tray. Why is it a lovely lady this time? Yunyu asked. You may not be aware, Supervisor Yun, said Titan, that this treasure can only be handled by a woman. The beautiful serving girl knelt with the jade tray in her hands. On the tray lay a piece of yellow silk cloth, upon which was a piece of jade. Titan said, This was a grave good that a lady of the former king of Wu was buried holding in her mouth. It can prevent a corpse from rotting and keep it looking as if it did in life. It holds strong yin energy in it, so no matter what the season is, it is cold as a piece of winter and ice. I definitely mixed that around. So no matter what the season is, it is cold as a piece of ice in winter. Will you feel it, Chancellor Liu? I could not help saying, a thing from the mouth of a corpse, and you ask Chancellor Liu to touch it at the dinner table? Do you wish to keep Chancellor Liu from eating? Titan paused. Then, as if this had just occurred to him, he apologized repeatedly. Liu Tongyi naturally said it was no matter, and he really did reach out to touch the piece of jade. He said, This item is a true treasure, a rare sight. I had only read of it in books and never thought to see it with my own eyes in His Highness's residence today. This is the blessing of 3 lifetimes. Titan was startled. His eyes glazed over and fixed upon Liu Tongyi. Chancellor Liu, are you telling the truth? Liu Tongyi smiled. This item in your Highness's collection is truly extraordinary. Titan's face opened like the seed of a sterculia in water. His smile was radiant. Nope. I don't know what this word is. Sterculia. Are you laughing at me? Um, let's see. Define sterculia. Sterculia refers to, I also just want to make sure I'm saying it right. 1 second. I was. A genus of tropical trees, including several from which Karagaya gum is obtained. Okay, cool. Got it. So a seed of this particular tree thingy in water. Okay. Liu Tongyi stood and went to the washroom to clean his hands. Titan, holding his wine cup, stared after him. She became my teacher now. You're gonna get all every time I don't know a word, I'm gonna look it up because I want to make sure I have an understanding, you know? Where was I? Yeah, Liu Tongyi stood and went to the washroom to clean his hands. Titan, holding his wine cup, stared after him. He tipped back his head and drained the rest of his wine in one gulp. Imperial uncle, I just had a thought. I saw the peculiar light shining in his eyes. An instinct told me that he was about to say something just as peculiar to match. Sure enough, Teton, squeezing his wine cup and rotating it, stared at some point in the empty space as he said, just now, when Chancellor Leo smiled at me like that, I suddenly thought that if he were a woman, I would certainly wed him. Teton looked at me with a burning gaze. Imperial uncle, do you think I'm becoming like you? Unexpectedly, the first thing I thought of was Teton's young wife, who was only 17 years old, was reported to be 8 months pregnant. You ought to give careful consideration to this question, I said. Teton squeezed his wine cup again. Consideration has no place in this. Imperial uncle, I always tell you the truth, and Supervisor Ewan is hardly an outsider. How can a thing like this be up to me? No wine remained in his cup, but he still brought it to his lips. Just now, when Chancellor Leo nodded like that and smiled, my heart beat fast. Yunyu said, Prince Dai's symptoms do resemble your highness's somewhat. I shot a glance at Teton. Your heart beat fast, did it? Here, I have something to show you. I felt around in my clothes and produced an item I had prepared in advance. I raised it. While doing battle in foreign parts, my father took this piece of jade from the body of a Khan. He presented it to the Tongguang Emperor, who then graciously granted my father possession of it. It was passed down among the foreigners from generation to generation since the Han period, and its authenticity is undeniable. Teton's eyes glazed over again. His gaze was glued to the piece of jade in my hand. Imperial uncle, I waggled the jade ornament. Is your heart beating fast? Teton's eyes were filled with ardor. He nodded. Yes. Do you feel the same looking at me as you did earlier looking at Chancellor Liu? I asked. Teton's face flushed bright red at once. He nodded again. What? My post today came to you as a notification just now? YouTube, what are we doing? I think that's so stupid. Like, I know that when lives are scheduled, you have to request that it notify you and then it will notify you, or you have to like at least click on it or something. But it's so weird that it will give you a notification forever away. What are we doing? And Danmei is serious. You get social issues, drama, misery, and philosophy. All the while, boy smooches. Let's see, where are we? Okay, so he nodded again. He's like, yes. I put the piece of jade away and said solemnly, no need to worry. You aren't a cut sleeve. Teton's eyes were fixed on the place where I had stashed the piece of jade, his gaze like a hook. I pretended not to see, lifted the wine pitcher, and poured myself a cup. I counseled him earnestly. You aren't a child anymore, and there are words you ought to weigh carefully in your mind before you say them aloud. Had what you said just now been overheard, I would have been standing accused. Your mother would have come to settle the score with me, or else she would have gone to the Empress Dowager to complain that you were spending all your time with me, and I had led you astray. In two hooks in Chiton's eyes, sorry, the two hooks in Chiton's eyes glittered bright as snow. He said, Imperial uncle, you are indeed solicitous toward your nephew. I only said what I did because I was talking to you, and Supervisor Ewan is part of our circle. Though your instruction, Imperial Uncle, through that I have seen the light. Only I thought that while the feeling was similar just now, it still wasn't precisely the same as when I was looking at Chancellor Liu. Won't you demonstrate again for me, Imperial Uncle? This is as far as my instruction goes, I said placidly. The rest depends on your own comprehension. Teton dimmed and bent his head to serve himself food. I added, most importantly, when Chancellor Liu returns, don't say anything to his face that might lead to a misunderstanding. Chancellor Liu is a man of high moral character, a pillar of His Majesty's court. You cannot be too irreverent. Yun Yu says, smiling. Your Highnesses have such an affectionate relationship. Teton picked up his food. Imperial uncle, Liu Tongyi must have seen everything there is to see to get his chancellor's rank. Everyone who's friendly with him says that Chancellor Liu is different from all the other Lius. He is easygoing, open minded, and extremely understanding. Why do you imagine him to be such a pedant, Imperial uncle? What's more, he said, tugging one side of his mouth in a suggestive smile. Chancellor Liu is 2 years older than Supervisor Yuan and still unmarried. Who knows what might be the reason for that? Who was it earlier that said that our main character was idolizing Liu Tongyi? I think his nephew raises a pretty good point. For some reason, when I heard his concluding remark, it felt as though my heart were being raked by claws, then squeezed. I coughed and said, do not discuss people behind their backs. If Chancellor Liu should come back and overhear. At this point, a daub of pale blue-green appeared at the door, and I hastily shut my mouth. Liu Tongyi stepped inside and resumed his seat. Teton said, you're back, Chancellor Liu. I was just discussing you behind your back with my imperial uncle. Oh my god. My imperial uncle praised you as a man of high moral character, a pillar of the court. I have never known him to praise just anyone like that. Just for that, I must ask you to determine the authenticity of, of a treasure my imperial uncle has brought with him today. I would have to murder my nephew. I, I would have to murder him real quick. Also, I just want to point it out that this isn't the emperor. This is Teton, which is the brother, the one that he spends the money on. And the emperor, remember, the emperor is not very talkative. So I don't know where the emperor is, probably just in the palace. But yeah, this isn't the emperor. This is his brother. Yeah, Prince Dai. Oh my gosh, this he's a menace. Oh my gosh. No, you're good. I just wanted to clear that up for you. Because I know there's a Teton, Chi Fei, Chi Jula, Chi Ji, Chi T T T T. So yeah. Uh where was I? Teton hadn't given up, and he would stop at nothing. When he had concluded his remarks, Liu Tongyi matter-of-factly looked my way and said with a smile, thank you for your praise, Your Highness Prince Huai. I am unworthy. I wonder what treasure Your Highness has brought. When he looked at me, it was like the sweet breeze of late spring wafting over me. I'm oh, merely a foreign bauble. I won't trouble. Teton cut me off midway. Spare us the civilities, Imperial Uncle. Chancellor Liu has already agreed, and I want to take advantage of another opportunity to learn the trick of antique appraisals from him. I had no choice but to reach into my robes. The points of the twin hooks in Teton's eyes reappeared, shining coldly. I produced the piece of jade and offered it to an attendant beside me, letting him convey it to Liu Tongyi. Liu Tongyi held it and said, looking at me, I am uninformed in the appraisal of foreign works, but from the color and grain of this jade, it must be an antique with quite a history. Besides which, I have seen the design of this ornament in a book. Since the Sui dynasty, this design has been exceedingly rare. It must date roughly to the Han dynasty. However, it is beyond me to provide more detailed observations. I gasped in honest admiration. Chancellor Liu's reputation as an expert is well merited. Teton's face was also full of commendation. I have been enlightened. The color and grain Chancellor Liu speaks of. He came close, snatched the piece of jade from Liu Tongyi's hand, and brought it up to his nose. Is this it? Guide me through examining it. Once it was in his hands, my piece of jade was as good as gone. There was no turning back. Now he just stole his stuff. You said, sorry, you have to go now. Need to wake up early. Bye bye. Oh no, goodbye. Well, fortunately, you're not missing much because we're only reading for about 25 more minutes. So you'll be able to, get the rest later. Have fun at work. He's all by twin. Or should I say have fun when you wake up? I'm assuming you have to get up for work. Um, or maybe you don't. So just sleep well. Yeah. I don't know why I assume someone's going to sleep. It's so they can get up to go to work the next day. You could just be going to go to sleep because it's late. So good night. I hope you sleep well. Have wonderful dreams about imperial uncles not knowing how to handle their nephews. Is that hustle mentality? Right. Which is bad, 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 bad. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, yes. Looking at Titan and that piece of jade, I felt a faint ache in my heart. Have fun in your dreams. Liu Tongyi looked at Titan's hand and frowned faintly. Only it seems that this mark here is damage made by a blade, and of recent date. He lifted his hand, took the piece of jade back from Titan, and studied it with concentration. That mark was made when my late father grappled with an enemy leader. A matter of 20 some years ago, I said. Liu Tongyi's brow relaxed, and he said, I see. He offered the piece of jade to the attendant beside him. One can almost hear the clash of weapons on that battlefield. Under Teton's covetous gaze, I took the piece of jade back from the attendant and returned it to my robes. Its encounter with Chancellor Liu today is like a musician meeting a kindred spirit who can comprehend his music. I know, I was just like, yay, he got to get his jade back. Also, what are we doing? Did y'all hear that? Its encounter with Chancellor Liu today is like a magician meeting a kindred spirit who can comprehend his music. Sir, come on. So you can be a little poetic outside of your head as well. Very good, very good. I raised my cup to Liu Tongyi in a show of thanks, and he returned to civility, smiling faintly. Yun Yu raised his cup as well and said, Your Highness Prince Huai's endless praise for Chancellor Liu makes me so ashamed I can hardly keep my seat. Teton's head was hanging glumly again, and he was just stuffing food into his mouth because he couldn't keep the jade. He quickly put in a muffled word. I'm the one who ought to be ashamed. Normally, my imperial uncle never stops speaking of Supervisor Yuan. When I said that my imperial uncle never praises just anyone, it was because Supervisor Yuan isn't just anyone to him. Don't say that. Yun Yu leaned back in his chair and smiled. Titan looked fawningly at me with shining eyes. Imperial uncle, can you show me that piece of jade again later? Absolutely not, because you'll take it. In that moment, I felt an inexpressible disappointment in my nephew, Prince Dai. Titan, I said seriously, what you just said is highly open to misinterpretation. Fortunately, only Chancellor Liu is present today and no one else. Otherwise, if someone were to think that Supervisor Yuan is like me, you would be giving offense. What's the matter with you lately, Imperial Uncle? Titan said in shock. You're like an old woman, nitpicking everything I say, as if Supervisor Yuan couldn't take a joke or look after himself. Though you prefer men, Imperial Uncle, that doesn't mean everyone who isn't just anyone to you must have that kind of relationship with you. Everyone understands that. Besides which, if you and Supervisor Yuan really were in love, then he certainly wouldn't care. Isn't that so, Supervisor Yuan? He raised his wine cup and drank a big gulp. Actually, though, Supervisor Yuan, please don't be offended if I use you as an example. I think that my imperial uncle must be searching for a remarkable person, someone like yourself. My imperial uncle is currently so loose only because he hasn't truly fallen in love. His heart is unbound. Yes, I would have to murder my nephew. What did I say earlier? I would have to murder my nephew. He said dot dot dot. That is pretty much because I'm like, what are you doing? You can't tell if he's a troll or a genius. Right now, I'm calling him a troll. Let's see. Yunyu was still half leaning back in his chair. He raised his eyebrows. All I could do was say stiffly, with a dry laugh, a joke ought to stand up to scrutiny. I'm not Supervisor Ewan's type. My statement held many meanings. First, Yunyu was indeed not a cut sleeve. Second, Yunyu had a typical temperament of an aristocratic scion. His tastes were undiscriminating. He chose brothel boys and girls as it pleased him. Furthermore, everyone knew that Supervisor Yuan was somewhat fastidious and only dallied with virgins. For anyone with prior involvements, be they a beauty whose praises rose to the heavens, he wouldn't spare them so much as a glance. Third, though Yunyu was handsome, I had known him for many years and was well acquainted with his disposition. I truly could not conceive that Supervisor Yuan might one day willingly submit himself to another in bed. Great way of telling us that you would top. He was proud and ambitious. Teton's significant hints making him out to be my lover might already have displeased him. Teton finally gained some comprehension. He shook his head and said, My Imperial uncle is just too romantic. I've had too much to drink and let my mouth run. I hope Supervisor Yuan will forgive me. As I was about to apologize to Yun Yu on Teton's behalf, Yun Yu said with a smile, No matter. Your Highness was only joking with me. As for His Highness Prince Huai's romanticism, I think you make too much of it. In reality, His Highness Prince Huai's preferences have never been incompatible with mine. Teton's comprehension, upon manifesting, frequently rose to a perplexing pinnacle. In this instant, he looked at me, then at Yuan Yu. With an astonished and dazed expression, he said, uh, uh, Are you saying? He looked at me again, then turned to Yuan Yu, his eyes unexpectedly filled with admiration. With a sigh, he said, Huh, I never would have thought. He would. Supervisor Yuan's tastes are quite similar. For a moment, I was bewildered. Then I understood and all but upended a cup of wine into my lap. I have always had a preference for strong flavors, Yunyu said lightly. My appetites are a little different from the norm, so I rarely fight over food at the table. I sat there watching as a trace of a smile appeared on Liu Tongyi's lips. An eminently sensible position. Shortly thereafter, dinner ended. Yunyu was the first to rise and excuse himself. He said he still had business to attend to and floated off. Liu Tongyi followed suit in excusing himself, and I went after him. Outside, before we respectively boarded carriage and sedan, I said to Liu Tongyi, Prince Dai spoke uncouthly today and put Supervisor Yuan a little out of temper, and then even I made a fool of myself. Ugh, it was a wretched performance. Jests told at the dinner table are forgotten as soon as they are heard, said Liu Tongyi. I no longer recall anything. If I was discourteous in any way, I hope your highness will not take it to heart. We exchanged another round of pleasantries. I watched him bend to board his sedan, then turned away and got into my carriage. I returned to my manor, where the atmosphere was still somewhat dismal after what had transpired with the princess. I called for a pitcher of wine and sat alone in the little garden outside my bedroom to drink. Normally, I thought nothing of it. But tonight, sitting there under the lone moon, in the shade of the trees, a sudden sense of loneliness stole over me. Everywhere I went, there were only false words, so false that I could no longer tell what was true. Take Liu Tongyi. It was unrealistic to expect that he would ever say anything to me that was true and from the heart rather than mere politeness. Earlier, at Dai Manor, just before leaving, Yuan Yu had said something to me, and it was only that I shouldn't forget the appointment at Yuehua Pavilion. At Yuehua Pavilion, Yuan Tong and the others would discuss with me when to act. The arrangements of many years, the plans laid in secret, were at last about to culminate in an uprising to seize the empire. Okay. And what are you going to do about this? So at first, when he made that comment at the end of chapter two, I was just like, okay, so you think they're trying to overthrow the throne from your nephew, but it's a real thing. And you're about to go discuss with them the plans of this. Aren't you supposed to be a loyal subject? You better be faking. Okay, let's keep reading. Is he overthrowing the throne? It can't be him that's overthrowing the throne. I'm gonna assume it has to be Yunyu or his father, and he's helping them or pretending to help them. He better be pretending, or I'm gonna be pissed. So let's keep reading. Oh my god. I recall that it was years ago on a similarly moonlit night that Yuan Tang and Wang Qin said to me, "An incompetent child clings to the throne, and an ignorant woman monopolizes power for her own ends. We, for the good of the nation and its people, have selected a wise leader to throw in our lot with. We wish your highness Prince Huai to take command." Total hogwash. Okay, well, he thinks it's hogwash. Okay. Chicha's mettle as a ruler far outstripped the late emperor's. He would certainly go down in history as a wise sovereign. The Empress Dowager was indeed a stupid woman, but fortunately her stupidity went to the core. Once Chija was a little older, it would be beyond her to exercise any control over affairs of state. It was only because I was a mediocre and useless cut sleeve, and Huai Manor was reputed to have that secret power that could overthrow the government, that Yuan Tang and Wang Qin had temporarily banded together and come to me. When they had used me as a ladder to get over the wall and disposed of me after seizing the throne, the two sides would face off, and the empire would go to the victor. This was a fact that even an idiot could discern at a glance. So I agreed. I have been embroiled in this conspiracy with Yuan Tang and Wang Qin ever since. You said Hogwarts. Yes, there's probably an actual meaning to that. Define Hogwarts. Oh my gosh. Is there not? Oh, okay. Maybe not. It's just oh no, I'm sorry. No, he said hogwash. That's what you're talking about. Sorry. I'm going to type it. Hogwash. Basically bullshit. That's what hogwash is. Yeah. So not Hogwarts. For a second I was like, "Wait, was that in there?" But it's hogwash. Yeah. Nonsense, bullshit, all of that. I remember my mother saying to me before she passed away, "Your father made too great a contribution and left behind such an encumbrance that you, your children, and grandchildren will all be mistrusted. This is how so called affairs of a state operate. Only by washing your hands of it as soon as you can and retiring to a remote place can you ensure a good ending for yourself." She was always so clear sighted, yet I hadn't done what she said. Perhaps ultimately, in me flowed some of the same hot blood that had filled my father's veins. It was just a little, I was just a little unsatisfied, a little discontented. I remember my father's homecomings from the wars when I was still a child, the radiance in his face when he spoke of the battlefield. In his heart, there was nothing but the nation, nothing but loyalty, nothing but the empire of the Jing clan. But he left behind only suspicion, only a son now saddled with the reputation of a malignant tumor. After half a lifetime of mediocrity, I just wanted to be able to do something remarkable. To make the so called honest officials, to make everyone in the world understand that Huai Manor wasn't a den of malignant tumors, that the name Prince Huai was written among the ranks of loyal subjects and not on a list of traitors. My father spent his life waging war and only wanted to bring stability to the Jing clan's empire so all its people could live in peace. At the very least, I could be like him. This once, I could protect the empire he had guarded all his life. for no other reason than that had I called him father. And perhaps it was not in vain that Chija had called me Imperial Uncle for so many years, regardless of whether he meant it sincerely or was only going through the motions out of obligation. But as for what would happen to me after this, what my final outcome would be, maybe I had not thought it through. Maybe the best possible outcome for me was that Liu Tongyi might sincerely call me Your Highness Prince Huai, that Tija might sincerely call me Imperial Uncle. Drinking alone beneath the moon, I suddenly thought that my path was now, in fact, even more foolish than my father's had been. What the fuck did power over the Empire have to do with me? Whether I existed or not, it would all be the same. Even if I weren't there to spy on Yuan Tong and Wang Qin, perhaps their uprising would still fail. At worst, perhaps neither of them would have his power ripped out at its roots, and an occasional small brouhaha might arise, or brouhaha might arise. But as long as the heads were gone, it would be hard for the hangers on to get anywhere. What need was there for me to be a spy? If I didn't do it, I would be the same old mediocre Prince Huai, viewed as a malignant tumor by the honest officials, suspected all my life by my nephew, the Emperor, and his mother. So all the stirring motives I had thought of were false. Maybe my only goal was to win myself a good reputation. I didn't know yet whether that was possible. Yeah, it was weird. I was like, "Huh?" I think I've heard that before, but I've never like really truly heard it. So I was right to correct myself. Brouhaha. Brouhaha is a noisy and overexcited reaction or response to something. Okay, so where was that also? Crap, I don't remember where it was, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Oh no, it was in this paragraph, right? Brouhaha. Okay. Where was I? I didn't yet know. Da da da. Sorry. I didn't know yet whether that was possible. This is how thinking works. The more you think, the deeper you go. The more you go in circles. Finally, I drank myself into a stupor, discovered in a murky daze that my eyes had closed, then opened my eyes in the same murky daze to find that I had been asleep in bed and it was already broad daylight. Chief Steward Cao stood at my bedside. Your Highness, you're awake at last. Last night I saw that you were inebriated and had fallen asleep in the garden, so I had some assist me in getting you back to your bedroom. There was a dull, throbbing pain in my head. I wrestled my swollen eyelids again open and asked, What time is it? Chief Steward Cao said, Nearly noon. I threw back the covers. Chief Steward Cao added, Supervisor Yuan is here. He is in the front hall. I knew very well that the reason for Yunyu's visit was to make sure I didn't forget about the appointment at Yuehua Pavilion, and probably he would also have something to say concerning Liu Tongyi. I got out of bed and said to Chief Steward Cao, instruct the kitchen to prepare the usual. Supervisor Yuan might stay to eat. Chief Steward Cao bowed. I have already told the kitchen to prepare. Good on you, Chief Steward. When I came to the front hall, Yunyu was seated, quite at ease, sipping a cup of tea. I smiled. Supervisor Yun. Yunyu stood and smiled as well. Your Highness. I took my seat. I rose late today. I did not know you were coming. No matter, said Yunyu. I didn't wait long anyway. I'm only afraid I have disturbed your Highness's rest. He looked around. The decorations in your Highness's front hall are always changing. I see there's been a change since the day before yesterday. Oh, I said. Though this was my own hall, perhaps I had been too busy over the last couple of days to note any alteration. I looked around, and it seemed the same as before. Perhaps the servants adjusted the arrangements while cleaning. I had noticed. Yun Yun narrowed his eyes slightly. The decorations seem to have been moved around. Has Prince Dai requested something of your Highness again? With this hint, I remembered. Prince Dai hasn't had the time these past few days. Yesterday, I presented a peach stone carving to His Majesty. How fortunate that I hadn't forgotten about this on my return last night, and had immediately had the banquet of the 8 immortals peach stone wrapped up and delivered to the palace before retiring to my room to drink. Yun Yu said, I see. At this, I recalled that the carving had been a gift. I rather thought from Yun Yu. He'd said it was a trinket brought back from Jiangnan by a pupil of his father. I rushed to apologize. I presented it to His Majesty without a word to you. That was an oversight on my part. I hope you can excuse me. There was nothing unusual about Yuan Yu's expression. He smiled faintly and said, It's nothing, only a crude marketplace bauble. I am honored that Your Highness favored it by displaying it in this hall for many years, and that it has now been presented as a gift to His Majesty. Only, if it pleased His Majesty, I will want a favor from Your Highness. I nodded. Naturally, I owe you a great favor. Because we were in the front hall, unavoidably surrounded by eyes and ears, Yunyu only made it clear that he might come to collect the favor at any time. Then went on to discuss the handicrafts of various places in Jiangnan, then its scenery and customs. We chatted a while until Chief Steward Cao came to report that lunch was ready. Yunyu stood. Oh, then I won't disturb Your Highness's meal. I'll excuse myself. Smiling, I said, Why so polite today, Supervisor Yun? Anyone would think I usually hide in my room to eat in secret. Would you like me to write to you out a formal invitation right now? I gestured, and Yun Yu proceeded with me to the parlor where lunch was to be served. At the table, we were seated, and the dishes were laid before us, and the wine cups were filled, and at last, without any hurry, he said, I was afraid that because I joked with Your Highness in front of Chancellor Liu at Dai Manor last night, Your Highness would be resentful and have nothing for me to eat today. Also, why y'all filling wine cups again? Didn't you just get drunk last night? Slow down. Let's see, I picked up my chopsticks and said, I have always been broad minded, never vengeful. Besides, even if I were vengeful, I still wouldn't dare not to invite you to eat with me. Yunyu said, I was judging a gentleman by my own mean standards. He lowered his voice and added, 2 days hence, at Yuehua Pavilion, I have a great gift to give Your Highness Prince Huai by way of apology. As expected, it was all about Yuehua Pavilion. I said, Fine, I will be expecting it. A few cups of wine later, Yunyu picked up the subject once more. He said to me, Your Highness, do you propose that Chancellor Liu understood the true meaning behind my joke last night? I collected my thoughts. I wanted to suppose that Zhense had understood what Yunyu had said last night, and therefore answered as he had. I wanted nothing more than to suppose that, but I didn't quite dare. Zhense, Zhense, after all, he was no one else. He was Liu Tongyi. Yunyu sipped his wine. This is Chancellor Liu we are talking about, after all. Oh, sorry. This is Chancellor Liu we are talking about, after all. He must have discerned the truth. He raised his eyebrows. His answer was just perfect. Isn't Your Highness overcome with delight? I pretended not to understand, gave a casual smile, and steered the subject away. Okay, there's like a double space there, so I think that would actually be a good place to stop. Um, so I don't think well, let me check really quick. Yeah, I think we're just gonna stop there because it's 12:28, and I said I'd read to 12:30, but there's really no point because, like, in the book, when it does like the double space between passages, right? In wait, yeah, right in there. So that's where we'll stop for today. Um, hold on. So what did we get to? Page 81? Not quite 85. That's probably because of all my giggling throughout the session. So that wasn't quite 40 pages, but we almost got there. Okay. So I guess I don't really have any thoughts on things that I kept like pausing in between to talk about anyway. So as for what we just read, so it's nice to know that, okay, he's just being a spy, that he's not really turning traitor, which of course makes sense because when I read the summary, it said that, he was trying to make it known that he was loyal to all, so I mean, not loyal to all, but loyal to his majesty. So we're good on that front. As far as oh, I just don't know, because I guess we haven't gotten anything yet, which is totally fine. Like, this is a 400 and wait, 40-page novel. So I'm actually okay that it still isn't quite clear who the romance is going to be between. My only thing is, like, I'm hoping at some point in, like, the next chapter that we'll kind of get an idea, because like, I don't mind the slow burn, but I just want to know who's burning slowly. That's what I want to know. I want to know, is it going to be Prince Huai and Liu Tongyi, or Prince Huai and the Emperor? Like, I just want to know, but it's whatever. It is what it is. We'll get there eventually. You said, I mean, if I was an emperor, I'd totally get one of my brothers to collect all the shitstorm for me to scoop. Or someone I trust. Yes. So, still so far, I'm liking this a lot. I like the tone of it. And even though there isn't anything like super crazy happening in the plot, I do still feel like it's interesting, at least. Like, it's not boring. It's just slowly cooking. Yeah, I would say it's putting some food in a crock pot and just letting it slow cook, which is totally fine. Um, I am kind of wondering, though, when some action's going to pick up, just because this meeting that they're supposed to be having, like, in this rebellion, is supposed to happen soon. So I'm just trying to see, like, how all of that's going to play out and what else is going to happen. Because if this is happening so soon in the book, something else has to happen, because we're on page 81 out of 440. So I'm like, okay, even if this gets solved, it's going to have to be something else that comes up. Let me see. You said playing the bad guy to absorb all the traitorous elements is a hard job, but a good one. It's so hard. Hard. I just can't. Like, it could not be me. Mm-mm. I ain't trying to do that. But it's nice to know that he's willing to do it, because we do need people like that. We need people to be spies and, undercover agents and all that stuff, because that's how we can glean more from the enemy. So it's a hard job, but it's a good one. It's a necessary one. Um, is it just a single book? Yes, it is just a single book, which is another reason why I'm like, at some point, you got to tell us, like, who's burning slowly, please, so that way I can feel the slow burn. Because right now I'm not feeling any burn at all. It's just like, there's nothing. He just has this seemingly one-sided affection, and now we're considering that maybe the emperor himself has affection for his uncle. So, like, where's that? You said, I still don't know what's going on. Well, that's your fault. I'm chiding you because you didn't listen to chapter 1 and chapter 2 and came to listen to chapter 3. So, he said, I'm more curious if the emperor knows. Um, I don't think I understand that. I don't think the emperor knows. Yeah, I don't think the emperor knows that he's being a spy. So, and you said, I keep spacing out. It's okay. I'll rewatch this again after reading the previous chapters. Yeah, I would probably space out too if I hadn't. When I come into the middle of something, it's just kind of like, what? I'm missing some context. I'm missing some things here. So I totally get it. I do encourage you to go back and reread. And then I am going to, even though this is the public live session and not unlisted for Patreon, I still have to download it and edit it so that I can put it on Patreon as the audio only. And I'm going to edit out all the extra stuff. And I think I'll probably go ahead and just upload it here as well. So that way, when you come back and re-listen to this, you can skip past all of our goofiness and stuff like that. That way it'll be easier for you to get through as well. You said, I bet on the betting guy. Um, who do you feed in Danmei? is usually a love interest too. True. True. We haven't gotten we haven't been told what color Yunyu's clothes are though. Like I'm just going by the color cover. I'm like, is he in blue or is he or is he in yellow? Oh, yeah. He's also a possible love interest. We never know because he never seems taken aback or like bothered when certain things are said about them. And even, he made the joke with him in the previous chapter. He was like, well, there was something between us before, which I won't share, Utma. I don't want to spoil it for you. So it's possible, highly possible that it could be him and Yunyu. I just want to know, like, who it is. Like, please tell me. But if it is Yunyu, that's going to be kind of a difficult relationship because if his father is trying to stage a rebellion, this is just not going to work out well. I don't think. He said, I think the prince is doing this without the emperor's knowledge. Probably so. Probably so he doesn't get any accolades, like, or anything beforehand. And then when it's all over, then it's like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. I didn't even know. How great are you? You said, oh, that can go real, real bad. Like he is trying to figure things out in order to be able to protect him behind the scenes. Yes. I feel like everyone is a potential at this point. I don't feel anything for anyone. I think Yunyu is one-sided towards him. He seems clueless. You know what? That's totally a potential. Yunyu could have feelings for him and he does not know at all. Meanwhile, he's pining for Liu Tongyi, and then and then the emperor is also pining for him. It's so just a mess. Oh my gosh. Who trusts you after that fact? Right. So yeah, I think this is just it's good. It's really good. I'm just ready to know like who the freak the love interest is going to be. Um Another one of Polly could save the empire. That probably won't happen. There are only two people on the cover. But we can dream, can't we? You said, OMG, sorry for yelling. Oh, I did not read your comment right. I'm sorry. Another one of Polly could save the empire. Okay, there we go. So anyway, I probably should have said these things at the beginning because, as time goes on, sometimes people have to leave and yada yada yada. But I just wanted to share with you guys that well, I've already started reading Copper Coins and it's really good thus far. It has a very funny tone of voice. So I'm reading them both together. And Copper Coins is quite interesting. But from You Don't Like Love Triangles, neither do I, at least not when it comes to seeing them in C dramas. Um the post that I made the other day, yesterday? Yes, about live session times. For anyone who hasn't commented, I strongly encourage you to go do that. So this isn't about me changing the the times that we already have. Like for the live reading sessions, which that's really more so typically speaking just for Patreon. But it's just for I want to do more with you guys next year. So whether it's, other than the live readings and the live discussions, if we do more live readings um at different days, different times, or if we come and do lives for something else entirely. I don't know what they would be at the moment. Just brainstorming. I want to make sure that they're at different times to try to give more chances for some people to join, because I know that there are people who've wanted to join my lives and they're like, oh, it's too early for me or it's too late for me. So that's all that's about. If you could go and comment just what time is convenient for you. Looking at like Wednesdays and Thursdays, maybe Friday, but for real Wednesday and Thursday. You said I don't want anyone to end up alone. Right. He said, unless it's toxic romance, when I'm like, just please spend time alone meditating. I'm good with current time. That's why I still didn't mention anything yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like I invited YouTube to be a part of this one because just why not? But the regular scheduled read alongs that I have are going to stay the same. I'm just thinking about adding 2 more. And I actually want to make a lot of changes to um, YouTube and Patreon as far as what we do. So I'm thinking, I just don't know when it will start because I have to let my OBGYN know that I came to a decision, but I will be getting a laparoscopy, laparoscop surgery. I'm getting surgery that starts with an L, and I have to see when is the soonest time I can get that surgery. And then, of course, it's going to be a week or two of recovery and stuff like that. So, all these changes that I want to make may not start, like, they're probably not going to start in January. But what I want to do, just so you guys know, is I want to have 4 live reading sessions a month on Patreon, and I want to change it to have 2 live reading sessions a month for YouTube and then my lower tier of Patreon. That way we all just get more chances to interact more rather than just in the live discussions at the end. So that's what that's for. And there are some other things that I want to do for the highest tier of Patreon. You said not sure about time zones, to be honest, because I'm an idiot that way. I understand. But usually, for example, Kictor's lives I can only make if I'm in vampire mode. There you aren't hers like in the evening time, I think, whenever I see them. They're usually like when I'm deep asleep, which is sad. Lives are always so much fun. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out because the world is my oyster almost as far as times, which is why I'm asking. You said, yeah, earliest at like 1 a.m. here. Ooh, that's late. Yeah. I mean, I do think I'll probably have one that's later in the day, probably like 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I'll probably have one midday. I think that's a good range. One in the morning, one midday, one late, and I guess two in the morning. But yeah. So I don't think I have any other announcements. I guess it just depends on your analytics too. Yeah, I mean, I don't really concern myself with those at the moment because when it comes to live sessions, I can't really gauge any analytics because I've only been doing one time, you know? So it's like I have to try another time period in order to really get the analytics down to know. But I just decided if I ask people and then see if there is a time frame that keeps getting mentioned on a regular basis, then if I just choose from that, then the analytics will be all right. So yes, I know quite a few of your European. My biggest base is from the United States, but then after that, it's I'm trying to remember. I can't remember where. Um, YouTube Studio. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Analytics. What is happening? Okay. Well, I don't remember where I can find it, but it's whatever. Geography? Yeah. United States seems to be the highest. And then India. Then Germany, Canada, Australia. Those are the top 5. Bet. So anyway, that is all I have to say for today. I hope you all enjoyed this session. And you say, yee, that's me. Which one? I said 5 things. Oh gosh. You said, yeah, Don May fandom is truly all over. It's crazy how it's truly all over and yet it is still so small. Like it's growing, but sometimes it's hard to find people, you know? So anyway, um, I think I'm all out of things to say. I will see if maybe we'll go live again next week. It won't be for reading because we'll be done with this book, but maybe just to chat, chill, hang. I don't know. We'll figure it out. India. Oh, nice. Hey. And yeah, that's I just got to think about that. I don't know if there's something you guys want to do next week, just let me know. Anyway, your birthday is on the 16th. Oh my gosh. Well, happy birthday today. in case I don't remember, or put it in the community, or if you want, you may not want to do that. Happy birthday in advance. A December child. Yes, I am a March child, specifically a leprechaun child, because my birthday is on St. Patrick's Day. So there's that. Uh, oopsie. Let me close out of that. And oh, trying to make sure I get all of this stuff out. So I think I'm gonna go eat some food now. And I'm still trying to hold off. I wore my shirt today. It's kind of hard to see with the light shining on it. I, I just don't want to finish My Hero Academia, but I guess I have to finish it at some point. And then I think I'm finally in a place where I will continue reading Arha. I'm on volume 7 and I just been kind of procrastinating, but I think I'm gonna have Gay Watch read it with me, and we'll just see how I make it through that. Cause I'm just not ready. Like I'm not ready to hurt again. Anyway, oh, meow meow, meow meow. Bye, you guys. He said, also don't know if they're here, but I did go to Gay Watch to finish Guardian. Yes, that is what I recommended people to do when I finished mine, because I saw that they read it all, and so I was like, hey, just run on over there. Did you enjoy it after you finished it? He said, I am almost at the end, and I don't want to continue it. Yeah. Yeah. Ara hates me at this point. I'm completionist, so thanks to whoever recommended it. I plan on trying Arha. Best of wishes to you. Honestly, I think just because of certain things that are more relatable for me, you will still hurts the most. But I will say that Arha tugs on the heartstrings, especially when you get to volume 8 or 9. I think it's 8. It's just Meat Bun just likes to kill us. I think she likes to stab us repeatedly, and it's not fun. It is not fun at all. You said you do not like Meat Bun. Did you fill in that slot on the bingo thing? It said, actually, I don't like Meat Bun. I love Meat Bun, but I need her in doses, is what I was telling someone. Like, I can't consume all of her stuff, consecutively. So I'm taking my break after having read Yubu. Now I'm gonna start Arha back up because I'm at 7, and then I'll probably take some more months break and finally read Case File Compendium at some point. But we shall see. I just don't know. You said Arha is a little more comedic. I also agree. It is very comedic. It was very funny. Like, there were so many people in this Facebook group that I was in. They were like, "Oh my gosh, Arha is just so devastating. It hurts so bad." And I read the first few books and I was like, "Bro, these books are hilarious." Like, some sad stuff happened, but I wasn't gut-wrenchingly sad. It wasn't so devastating to me. I was just like, I mean, sad stuff happened, boo-hoo, but it's really funny until it's not. Until it's not. Meat pie. You said she swings that knife maniacally, and yes, I did. Nah, she does. You said I'm all out of tears now. Yes, Gay Watch is all streams though. So different kind of experience. It is. It is a different kind of experience. And I think I just have to get myself used to it. But it helps. I think beforehand I was listening to someone else, Jeanette something, even though um I think her volume is just like really, really low. But even though it was kind of a weird experience to always listening to it live, it helped me get through books 5 and 6. I would just put her on twice the speed and it helped me read it a lot faster. And I still retained all the information. So it's for me, it's just like I read it already before. So sometimes I have a hard time rereading things depending on what they are. And this is just one of those things that I have a hard time rereading. Like Thousand Autumns, I did not have a hard time rereading. And even the first 3 books of you, I didn't have a hard time rereading. You really can't listen to a lot of people and retain. Yeah, that's why I try to listen and read at the same time whenever I can, even though I do think I can still listen only and retain. But if I have the books, I'm kind of just like, you're there to just help me use less energy. I don't know how to explain that, but it really helps me see if I'd be interested in some of the books. Yes. For example, Thousand Autumn, Stars of Chaos, Peerless, and Seven Seas should give you a commission. That would be nice. Although if they did that, they probably would be like, everything you do will need to be done through us. I don't know if I want to do that. I'd be like, can I keep it on my YouTube? Can I just do it all here, please? Trying to spread Donmei. We're all of us are spreading the love from me to Kictor to Gay Watch to Jeanette to Magic Obsession Potatoes to Crimson Rain. Like we're trying to spread the Donmei, you know? You said I wouldn't reread Stars of Chaos, but the rest for sure. Same. I tried rereading Stars of Chaos, but I just didn't. I wasn't really feeling it. Like I enjoyed the story when I read it, but I realized that it's just not a reread for me. Which is why when we did that whole Don May quiz thing, there wasn't anything Stars of Chaos on there because it would have required me to re-listen to the story. Like in order to make that Don May quiz, I did re-listen to a lot of stuff. And I enjoyed those things. But for Stars of Chaos, I was like, eh. But I think Priest is just not my cup of tea. So that's for sure an author I will say will not be read on my channel. Like it's not going to be like, oh, can you read this by Priest? Nope, I cannot. I will not. I'm just not. I think it's beautiful writing, at least in Stars of Chaos, but they're just not for me. You said you avoided Priest for the longest time, and I know someone who like loves Priest, and I'm just like, how? How? Yeah. Now that I read her books, and I'm like, just have writer envy. You said you warmed up. Well, that's good. It's always nice when you can warm up. Some things are like that, you know? But she didn't warm up to me. Not at all. I keep telling myself that I'm going to go listen to Gay Watch's Guardian Volume 2 and 3, but then I never do. We'll see. But you're such a mood reader. Yeah, me too. It's weird. I'm a mood reader, but at the same time, I'm clearly I can move past that because making these schedules, it doesn't matter the mood. I chose the schedule and I have to abide by the schedule that I have put on here for you guys. So it's like when the new year comes, I can't be like, guys, I changed my mind. We're starting the year with Legend of Exorcism instead. I mean, I could do that, but I just feel like that would be wrong of me to do when we've already had the vote and decided everything, in August. I think August the 1st was when the poll closed. So it's like, no, we're going to stick to, you know, what I let you guys vote on. You think I should re listen to volume 1 of Guardian? Eh, we support you. Nobody wants you to suffer. Well, I don't think I would suffer reading Jiangxingju. It's just one of those things like when you're more in the mood to read one thing than the other thing. But I'm very excited to read Ballad of Sword and Wine as well. And I already read the first 50 pages in September. So now I'm going to reread them. Actually, what my real plan is, what my desire and my hope is for us to read the first couple of chapters together live, like everyone for the new year. But I don't know if that'll be possible. It just depends on when I can have my surgery. So 11:22 p.m. I should not be conscious right now. You should be asleep. Why does this laugh sound so evil? What laugh? NFS's laugh. If anyone hates ballad, I will cry at you with understanding and love. Oh, but I will cry at you. Well, then I hope I don't turn out to hate it because the first 50 pages were great. So, okay. Any questions for me before we head out? I'm just, we're just chatting. I think I have my, I still have to purchase Kaleidoscope of Death now that I think about it. You scare yourself, it's fine. How many books have you guys read this year thus far? We still got a little bit of time left, and I have 148. Wait a minute. How did I not mark this? Did I not mark that as complete? Oopsie. When did I finish Astrolabe Rebirth? I don't remember. So I guess I'll just put December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 7. Wait a minute. We're reading Imperial Uncle now, so I should mark that as in progress. Copper coins. Okay. So, wait, 149. Oh my gosh. I think I might have read more than I think I read. Hold on. You said I reread a lot of stuff. I still count rereading as reading. You read it. So, it to me it's like if you reread it with the purposes of listening to the story yet again, then you reread it. If you reread it for the purposes of background noise, then you did not that doesn't count as a read. You said do the first 6 volumes of Lost Tomb, Dalmu, BG reread count as reading this year? LOL. I personally think so. How many books are Aha? 11 total. But the 11th volume is strictly going to be full of extras. How many? I'm sorry, the rest I haven't started. The rest I started, haven't finished them yet. Oi. I don't count audio as reading, LOL. I do. Or rather, I count it as consuming. Like if you would retain the same information as you were reading it, I count it as a read, even if I listen to it. When it comes to the whole technicality thing, I don't care. Like I count it because if you ask me what it's about, I could tell you what it's about. At least for a certain period of time before I forget, like we all do after we consume something. But I count it. Let's see. All right, let's the book total. But yep, we just got the 10th one this month? No, last month. Last month. You got to shift your perspective. I mean, you don't have to. You can keep your perspective. I know there's a constant debate going on with that, but to me it's just like if I read this book with my eyes and then I tell you about it, I have read the book. If I listen to this book with my ears and then tell you about it, I have read the book. I've just read it in a different way. And then I think of those who have hearing impairments, and not every book that we have is going to be translated into Braille for them. So, visual impairments is what I mean. So for those people who, are blind, for those who have dyslexia, for those who have any other impairment, and they literally cannot look at a book to read, what are they supposed to do? And who am I to tell them that them listening to an audiobook is not them reading when they have retained the same information that I got from the book? So that's why I have my perspective. It's just like, you know, you said you just can't retain most audio. So Pat Smari Chan, I'm your ears hero. Okay. No, I agree. Yes, it's a technicality. That's why sometimes when people are like, "Do you consider audiobook as reading?" I'm like, I consider it as consuming. And so I mark it as a read on my chart. I have lots of points of views that probably some people would disagree with when it comes to certain things when it's like reading, but storytelling. Because that's how they had to read in the old days, like the old days anyway, before they learned, oh, let's write stuff. Oh, I just did something on my screen. Yeah. Like if your parents read you a book as a child, it's still reading. I think so. And actually I was just talking to my godson about it. because I went to go visit him on Tuesday, and he as soon as he opened the door, he was like, "Read the book." I was like, "Can I get a high first?" And so we were about to sit down, and he was like, "I like reading." And who am I to tell him he's not reading? Because I'm reading the book to him, but then like I'm reading he's only 4 years old, and we went to a book fair, and he wanted me to buy this 300-page Spider-Man book that only has pictures at the end of each chapter. And I was like, "It doesn't have pictures. Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yes." And when I tell you, I be reading to him, and he'll literally be playing while I read this chapter book. And then when I left and then came back, I forgot a bookmark. So I was like, "Okay, crap, I need to read this again." And I started reading, and he was like, "You already read that." I was like, "Oh, excuse me." He was like, "I remember that from last week." He was like, "You left off on page 8." I was like, "But you were playing around." He was like, "But I remember this." So I'm like, "Okay, excuse me. We're going to page 8 now." So he loves books. Like we went to his book fair. I honestly should have said no to a lot of purchases, but I spent $178 on books. What was I thinking? For a 4-year-old. Oh my god, but yeah, he loves it. He loves it so much, and I'm just glad. I've been reading to him for a very long time, so you said, "I think it's linguistical technicality. The word reading has changed slightly in meaning. LOL. If you ever find some vids are oddly rewatched from a point, I fell asleep and had to reread." It's okay. We are all enablers here. Yes. But anyway, that was a whole segment. I actually meant to share a video of me reading to him because I thought it was fun, but I just haven't edited it. Edited edited it. So, wherever you are, whether it is afternoon, morning, or evening, night, whatever, I hope you enjoyed this session together. And I'm going to go eat some food. So, we might see each other next Saturday, maybe. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your year because I don't know how soon we'll finish Imperial Uncle, but it'll more than likely be finished by the end of next week. And then after that, there will essentially be a 2-week break reading period for you guys at least. It won't be for me because I'm still reading Copper Coins and just uploading those videos in advance. But yeah, we're going to be having a 2-week break from reading together. So I don't know what we'll do. Don't apologize for that. I appreciate it. But yes, bye bye.